yourself and your amazingness, because I know you have it. You're a human being just like the rest of us. So just put it in it to what you want to get out of it. And today's going to be an awesome day.
Woohoo! So we are finally going to officially start the program. Thank you all. We wanted to give you some background about our movement, but we are live on our social media platforms, and we're also going to be recording this for our podcast, Mindset Mastery Moments. So again, officially, good afternoon, good evening, everyone across the globe, and good morning from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Dr. Alisa Whyte with the MM360 team, and our guest live, we're waving at you saying, welcome to Empowering Her Rise. We are super thrilled. Our team has come together at Mindset Mastery 360 Movement to put together this event to uplift women. We built a conversation around women. We've got 6 powerful trending topics that we, our mastery thought leaders from around the globe, will be conversating on, and we have a vibrant audience from our movement and guests that are in the studio with us that will be posing questions possibly to the panelists. And so the hot seat is warming up and it's getting warmer. But today we are going to officially say, let the games begin. I am Dr. Lisa, and I'm going to bring to the platform 2 of my wonderful colleagues here at Mindset Mastery 360 to the spotlight. Deb Halt is our strategic program manager globally. Can we get Deb up to wave and say hello to our live audience watching? She's one of our co-hosts today. And then also Dr. Kareem R. Ellis, #1 breakthrough strategist, our co-founder here at MM360 as well, is one of our co-hosts. So let's see if we got Deb. Did we get Deb in the spotlight? Let's get Deb here. Thank you so much, Trevor. Oh, where's Deb? Did we get her?
I'm here somewhere.
But we welcome you again, and we're just so excited that you have joined us. And we are getting ready to take off this program. Empower Her Rise. SheRose Lead Empowering Her Rise is a summit that's put together to bring a virtual, vibrant conversation about women in leadership and what's really going on. We've got trending hot topics for you, and we've got a special announcement and launch of the SheRose Lead mission part of Mindset Mastery 360. So today, without further ado, I'm going to bring my brother Hakan to just bring us into a center and a global prayer, if we may, so that we can take this off the road.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. Just close your eyes for a moment. Put your hands on top of your heart. And feel that your heart is beating. Feel that everything is fine. It's up to you. Today can be the best day of your life, or it can be the worst. So why not choose the best? And one way to do that is to fully acknowledge your power. You have the power. You have the power to make changes in your life. And you need to grab that power with both hands and truly feel it. Nobody's going to give it to you. It's all up to you. And if you need, there is help. Some call it God, some call it divine, some call it Allah, Buddha. Those are just names. What's important is there is assistance. And also in community, like we're seeing here, the global mindset, where we all join together, all support each other as the unique individuals we all are, male or female. What matters is we are all humans. Take another breath, feel it, and let's have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akan. It's always so wonderful to have you bring us into center and be in unison as we move together, because we are a body, mind, and soul. We are bringing ourselves in center. So today we've got an exciting lineup for you, and we are about to take off with one very special guest. Today we have a keynote address before we get into the conversation by an outstanding individual. At Mindset Mastery 360, he takes the position as being our co-founder. But that's just the role he serves in this community and in this movement. We are talking about an individual who has traveled all over the world, speaking in boardrooms, speaking in live audiences, speaking to individuals, coaching, training, being a father, being a brother, being a friend, and being a man that uplifts, respects, and cherishes women. Today, we are talking about Dr. Kareem R. Ellis. He is the #1 breakthrough strategist. He's a global thought leader. He is also a 2 times TEDx speaker. He is the creator of the GPS Speakers Academy and the coach and master trainer. He is also the international best-selling author of the blockbuster-selling book called GPS, My Success. He has also been serving all across the globe as a servant leader on multiple boards with many organizations, reaching everyone with his message that God has given him. But most importantly, he's here to serve us with a powerful message as we raise women up today. How fast are you designed to go? Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a virtual round of applause for Dr. Kareem R. Ellis. Dr. Kareem, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Alisa Whyte. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Let me just check the sound real quick to make sure, because you know technology be doing this technology thing. Sometimes we want to act up, and I appreciate that introduction. You got me listening like, who? I want to meet that guy. That guy sounds very engaging and inspiring. I need to meet that gentleman somewhere out there in the world, right? So yeah, so today I want to talk to you real briefly about this particular concept that I think is going to fit nicely into the ebb and flow of why we're all gathered here today as we celebrate the greatness that is called womanhood, right? I want to ask you, just how fast are you designed to go? How fast are you designed to go? You know, it's no shock or surprise for folks that know me. They know that I'm a self-enthused Porsche fanatic. I'm talking about the sports car. And that started back in the 80s, guys. I'm an 80s baby. I'm diehard. I'm self-proclaimed. I think the 80s was one of the greatest generations ever to come forward on the planet Earth. You realize you don't have a lot of issues out of 80s kids, right? We are built tough. We are built to go the distance. Now, in 1984, there was something that happened when I was around the age of 7 that transformed my mind very radically. There was a cartoon that came on the air called Transformers. And some of y'all are still old enough but young enough to remember it. It gave us one of the greatest cartoon heroes of all times. As you can see, my man Optimus Prime. It gave us one of the greatest villains of all time, my man Megatron. And throughout this cartoon series, there was one cartoon character that stole the show for me personally. It was a robot by the name of Jazz. Now, as you can see, I got a small version of him. And the reason why I'm using this small version is because I believe big things usually come in small seed. Somebody's going to catch that a little bit later. Big things usually come in small seed. But at the age of 7, when I saw this toy and I saw that he transformed into a Porsche, I became a Porsche enthusiast. All my life, I kept saying, I want to have a Porsche, I want to have a Porsche, I want to have a Porsche. And it's by God's grace and humor that I've been blessed to work on Porsche number 4 right now. So we're not going to complain about that. But one of the things I love so much about owning this particular type of car is, of course, you know, it's got to be a convertible, right? You can't have a Porsche and it not be a convertible. So for me personally, I love driving around the city with the top down, music cranked up, blasting. Come on, got to put my shades on because I got to look good while I'm doing this, right? And I'm driving around the city taking care of business. Now, on this one particular day, I was out running errands. I had one last errand to finish up. I had to go to my local post office and mail some stuff out. So I remember driving. It was about a good 70-degree day. There was no clouds in the sky. Everything was perfect. As I'm pulling into the parking lot of my local post office, I noticed 3 kids wandering through. Kids had to be around 7, 8, 9 years old. Couldn't have been really, really old, right? I remember parking the car to make sure I didn't hit the kids. I got out the car. I ran inside. I went to go mail some stuff and check out my P.O. box. And by the time I came out 10 minutes later, those 3 kids were now gathered around my sports car. And as I hit my alarm from a distance to let them know I'm about to get in the car, the youngest of the 3 stopped me and said, "Excuse me, sir, is this your car?" I said, "It is." He said, "I love it. It's beautiful." I said, "You got good taste. I like you, young man." He said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "What's the question?" He said, "How fast?" And I paused for a second. Let me be clear with you. In life, the quality of the questions you ask will determine the quality of your results. I'm going to say that again. The quality of the questions you ask will determine the quality of the results. See, for some folks right now, the reason why you're not hitting that next level of success, because you're going through life asking all the wrong questions. So we want to be very, very clear and precise about what we ask in this day and age, right? And so I paused for a second. I want to reflect on what he said to me. And so I paired it back to him. You asked how fast. Are you asking how fast the car can go? Or are you asking how fast I've driven the car? Because depending on what you ask, you're going to get a different answer. The young boy stopped for a second and looked at his peers and then looked back at me. And he said, "Well, I guess both. How fast does the car go and how fast have you driven it?" Now, with a smile on my face, I said, "Well, young man, the fastest I've driven this car is 140 miles per hour. And no sooner did I tell them that they mouths dropped wide open, like, "Oh my God, 140 miles per hour. And unbeknownst to me, a lady pulled into the parking lot in a minivan. She had gotten out and was eavesdropping on our conversation. I didn't even realize she was there. And out of nowhere, when I told them 140 miles per hour, the young lady exploded on me. Anger in her voice. Why would you tell these kids something so stupid and so reckless? Why would you tell these kids that it is okay to drive 140 miles per hour? Do you understand how many people you could have put at risk by driving that fast and driving that recklessly?" And before I could answer her, she turned around and walked off. Went inside the post office. There was that moment of awkward silence, as you can possibly imagine. I mean, you could cut the air with a knife as I'm looking at the kids and the kids is looking at me. And I thought, let me get back to the original conversation. So yes, I drove the vehicle 140 miles per hour. It was late on a Wednesday night. I had a keynote speech in the state of Indiana, and around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, driving back to Cincinnati with no one on the highway, I picked up to 140 miles per hour. So of course I would never put anybody's life in danger, but I did it under the guise and cusp of safety. But to answer your other question, this car can hit speeds in excess of 75 miles per hour. With that, the kid gave me a high five. They turned around and walked out the parking lot. I got ahead and got inside my car. I got my keys ready to start the ignition. And I paused for a second because I ain't like how she talked to me. So I was going to hang out for a few minutes to give her a taste of my mind. But common sense sat down in the seat and said, "Doc, you got to let her go." And so I start up the car, I pull out of the parking lot, I make a sharp right, and before you know it, 30 seconds later, I'm sitting at the stoplight. And I'm pondering everything that literally just took place with that lady. And I kept asking myself, would her response to me be different if she hung around long enough to understand why I actually drove that car at 140 miles per hour. See, one of the things I've learned is this. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. And in Cincinnati, Ohio, the streets that surround where I stay at are chock full of 25 and 35 mile per hour streets. No matter where I go, it's either 25 miles per hour or 35 miles per hour. So every once in a blue moon, I got to jump inside this Porsche, find an open stretch of road, and crank that baby up as fast as I can go. Why? To remind myself what the car is designed to do. The car wasn't designed to go 25 miles per hour. The car wasn't designed to go 35 miles per hour. The car was designed to hit speeds in excess of 175. And if I'm not careful, I can be so used to driving on 25 mile per hour streets and 35 mile per hour streets, I'll forget what the car is designed to do. So that brings me to the cusp of the question. Just how fast are you designed to go? See, I see a lot of people that hang around people in their world, in their atmosphere, that are used to driving 25 miles per hour. They're used to going 35 miles per hour. And the more you hang around these types of people, you'll forget not how fast you can go, you'll forget how fast you're designed to go. So what I want to do is I want to give you 3 ways in this season you can pick up speed and go faster. And 2024 is the year of more, is what I've deemed this. 2024, the year of more. Number 1, you got to know the vehicle that you're in. Like with my Porsches, S's on the end, meaning more than one, I'm familiar with the schematics. I'm familiar with the gas mileage. I'm familiar with everything about those vehicles. Incidentally, my cars are stick shifts. You know, so that way people can't ask to borrow my car because you got to know how to drive that forbidden stick shift, right? Yeah, but I know everything about the vehicle. Why? Because if I want to be a skilled driver, I got to know the vehicle. So here's the question. If the analogy of the vehicle equals you, that means you are the vehicle. You are the car, right? Wherever that car represents to you. How well do you know the vehicle? One of the reasons why I picked up speed, because I know my gift, I know my talent, I know my education, I know the right environment I'm supposed to be in. Like, I know so much about the vehicle known as Dr. Kareem Ray Ellis, it's damn near impossible for me not to pick up speed because I know my vehicle in and out. I know what fuel it takes. I know when the oil change is due. I know when the tune-ups are ready. I know everything about the car. Why? The more I know about the vehicle, the better I become as a driver. So number 1, I got to know the vehicle. Number 2, I got to be able to test drive that vehicle under different conditions. Now this is a side note because I don't know how many Porsche enthusiasts we got on here, but the one thing I can say about Porsche, the one thing I can say about Lamborghini, the one thing I can say about Ferrari and any other deemed quote-unquote supercar or sports car, you don't see commercials advertising those cars on regular TV. So I can turn the TV on right now, I can see a Ford commercial. I can see a Honda commercial. I can see a Toyota commercial. All the organizations I've spoken for, right? But the issue is, since there's no commercials really to promote a Porsche, Porsches get sold based on perceived value. Side note, what's your perceived value in this season, right? The higher your perceived value, the more valuable you come across to the world. That's just a side note. That's not a teachable. That's just me throwing something out there in real time, right? But when I say test drive the vehicle under different conditions, you know, Porsche is all about promoting excellency. So before they put that vehicle on the assembly line to put it together and put it out there in the showplace on the marketplace to sell those vehicles, one of the things they do with that car is they take that car and they test it under different conditions. So they'll rev that Porsche up to 100 miles per hour in snow and ice to see how it handles. They'll rev that Porsche up to 100 miles per hour under rain and fog to see how it handles. They'll rev that Porsche up to 100 miles per hour on rock and gravel to see how it handles. And the reason being is they want to test drive the vehicle to make sure it handles properly before the vehicle is put out on the market for people to invest in it. If you want to pick up speed in this season, one of the things you absolutely have to do is be able to drive your vehicle under different conditions, right? I remember a few years back, we came through COVID, and we know that COVID back in 2020 changed the landscape of the entire globe. It wasn't just cities that was affected. It wasn't just states that was affected, because I know we got people on this thing today that's global. The whole world was affected by COVID global shutdowns, right? But what I realized is people who knew how to pick up steam in that down spike were individuals that knew how to drive and maintain their vehicle. Why? They're used to test driving their gift, their talent, their education, their expertise in different types of terrain. So number two, if I want to go faster in the season, I got to be able to test drive my vehicle under different conditions. It's not always going to be sunny outside. It's not always going to be bright outside. And then last but not least, I want to encourage you to make sure that you're on the right racetrack. Now, I know we got some folks under the sound of my voice that are NASCAR fans, right? I'm talking NASCAR racetrack. Now, again, I'm not the biggest NASCAR fan, but from the NASCAR events that I have watched, one thing that has always stood out, the cars on the racetrack all kind of look the same. Don't get me wrong, the colors may be different. They may have different investor logos and advertising on there, but far and wide, the make and model of the cars pretty much all fit under a certain level of dynamics. I mean, facts about it. If you were to go to a NASCAR race and look out there before they say on your mark, get set, go, start your engine, and you look out and notice there's a semi-truck on the semi-truck trailer on the racetrack, there's a motorcycle on the racetrack, there's a dune buggy on the racetrack, you would scratch your head and think something is wrong because you got a mixture of different vehicles that don't make sense on the racetrack. Yeah, why am I telling this to you? Because for a lot of us, we don't look to our right, look to our left, look in front of us, look behind us to see who's actually on the same racetrack as us in the season. As a speaker, I currently start my fee out at $20,000 for an hour speaking engagement. So I want to measure my success. I want to make sure I'm on the racetrack with people that's in league, in line with what I'm doing right now. The problem with most of us, we don't care about who's on the racetrack, and so we find ourselves selling ourselves short. Why? Because you can only better your best when you're hanging around like-minded people. As Jim Rohn said, your life will measure that of the 5 people you hang with the most, right? Before I bring this thing to a close, let's do a quick recap. Number one, I encourage you to know the vehicle that you're in this season. It's your job to know that vehicle intimately in and out. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Number two, learn how to master driving the vehicle called you under a multitude of different conditions. Because Murphy's Law says that which can go wrong will go wrong at the one inopportune moment in time. And when it does, I don't want you to have to pull off to the side because you can't handle the terrain, right? And then last but not least, I want you to do a check on a regular basis and see who's on the racetrack with you. Why? Because the people on the racetrack are designed to help you pull out your measure of greatness. And you're only able to do that when you're surrounded by the right drivers. Guys, if you take everything that I've given to you and you apply it this year, don't wait till next month, don't wait till 2 months down the road, apply it this year, you should have no problem putting the keys and starting the ignition and driving much faster. My name is Dr. Kareem Ellis. They call me the #1 breakthrough strategist. On that note, I'm going to pass the microphone back to Dr. Alisa. It's all you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kareem. I love it. As Dr. Kareem said, just when you need the microphone to start working, it doesn't. Dr. Kareem, thank you for such a powerful message. How fast are you designed to go? Let's give him some love in the comments and online. Making sure. So we have some exciting news. Our next item on our agenda is the official grand announcement of our mission at MM360 for women, which is called SheRose Lead. And what's the matter? What's the fuss, Dr. Alisa? Well, let me just share a little bit with you about what the mission and vision is for SheRose Lead. The mission of SheRose Lead is based on the principles of the women coming together and uniting from around the world in a transformative journey of healing, growth, empowerment, and purpose-grounded mission, work, and business. We strive to provide a global platform inside Mindset Mastery 360 that empowers women to, number one, heal from past traumas, shift their mindset, of course, discover their purpose, rise and thrive in their purpose-grounded life. We'll do this through connection, support, resources, and we will aim to foster that community of empowered women who lead with authenticity, make a positive impact in their lives, in their community, and inspire others to do the same. Our vision literally is to create a global sisterhood where women support and uplift each other. And we also overcome our challenges by embracing our true self, our core values and beliefs in purpose, with purpose, on purpose. We'll also have coaching programs, events, community work, and efforts we do together. And we'll also ensure that our sister rises. Today, I have a sister that's teaming up with me for a very special event. We're going to introduce Ms. Janae Walker as we tell you one of the first initiatives that we are going to have available for women across the globe. Janae, I'm going to put you in the spotlight right now if you're ready to go.
Hello and good morning, everyone. So good to see all of the smiling faces here today, ready to be poured into. And didn't Dr. Kareem Ellis do a fantastic job of teaching us about knowing what our vehicle is, but also knowing how we can take that vehicle and get us on track to our true purpose and to the success that we desire to have and that we are made to have. So we wanted to formally welcome all of our female entrepreneurs in the group. If you are a female entrepreneur, go ahead and put I am a female entrepreneur in the chat. We want to honor you. We want to welcome you. We salute you all. You know, females are the #1 rise in entrepreneurs today. And we are so excited that we wanted to create a program and a platform to help you to build that success. And so we are introducing our She Builds program. And this is a program for all female entrepreneurs who are new to business, or maybe your business needs a strong foundation to get to where it's supposed to be, to get on the right track. So Dr. Alisa and I have teamed up to create this She Builds program, which is going to be kicking off in May. So any of you who are looking for ways to bring your idea to an empire, those of you who are needing ways to build that strong foundation, business planning, business idea formation, customer acquisition, and our favorite, revenue growth. Who does not want revenue growth in your business? Because if you don't have revenue growth, you basically just have a hobby. So listen, I want to encourage all of my females, all of my sisters to join in on this program. And I have a form, an interest form that I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat. So all of my female entrepreneurs, please make sure that you sign up. Make sure you are in the room, in this space. If you desire to have a business or have a thriving business, this is the place that you want to be. And we promise you, we are committed to your success. We will be committed to your growth. We will be committed to your business. So I challenge you, get in on this program.
And
so
while you go ahead and drop the link, Jay, I'm going to say this. When we came up with She Builds under the SheRose mission, we know that there's several of you who did not type I am a female entrepreneur in the chat. And that's because you only have a concept in your head. But if you have a concept in your head and you just don't even know where to start, I still want you to put I am a female entrepreneur in the chat. Because here's why. She Builds is strategically designed for you who are already thriving as an entrepreneur and for those who haven't even started your journey. And those who just have an idea that they want to do something, you're like, I don't even know if I should call that entrepreneurship. Well, you have an idea. You want to tell the world something. You want to give the world something a little bit more than what you've been doing. This is where we're going from concept to building an empire and creating impact. But you're going to have to shift that mindset a little bit. So we're going to help you with that. But that's not all. we're going to help you with the tools that you can do. She Builds literally represents what Janae and I represent in the world as business leaders and entrepreneurs. We started our thriving businesses as coaching programs, as speakers, doing a 9-to-5 job. Who would believe that we work corporate jobs and we get to do all the things we do? How do you do it is the question I get asked all the time, right, Janae? You get that all the time.
All the
So
time,
we
all the time.
decided to answer the question to all our women, how we did it. And so She Builds is that. You're going to get more information. We don't want to take up a whole time, but we wanted to officially launch SheRose Lead and bring the She Builds program on the SheRose Lead to sit and serve you. You'll get more information. We'll have an information session, so just put the information in. I thank my sister, but all of you who are just a little bit curious, and if you got a wife or a sister or a friend, send them our way and we'll support them, because we will walk through the tools you need, the strategy, the time, the scheduling of yourself, and how to think your way to start and get to where you actually grow and glow in what it is that you're set to do. Thanks, Janae. Oh, yes, I'm excited. So SheRose Lead is on wheels coming May. We're ready to go. So here's the part we've all been waiting for, and we know our panelists are nervous. We know our panelists are like, what is Dr. Whyte going to ask? Well, we do know what we're going to ask, but we don't know exactly where this goes because we didn't pre-script this. We're just going to have free conversation. So I get to be the first moderator, but before we do that, I want to go ahead and introduce all of our panelists today. And today you don't have to go anywhere because you're definitely one. And so I'm going to bring you up. Janae Walker is one of our panelists, and we're just bringing them to spotlight. And we have Miss Noelle Ellis. Panelists, please be ready. You're just going to end up in a spotlight. Miss Noelle Ellis, she is a muscle mindset specialist coming from Cincinnati, Ohio. And of course, Miss Janae Walker, MBA, she's coming from Florida. And now we also are adding to the floor our panelists, Miss Charlotte Manuel. She is Coach Charlotte Manuel, one of our Global Impact Envoys. And yes, you guys thought this was just going to be all about women. No, women cannot just be all about women. The way we get forward is because we come together and we have, boom, Coach Big E, Ernest Moss. He is in the building. He is one of our Global Impact Envoys, ready to go. And guess what, guys? It's his birthday. We'll talk about that in a bit. Happy birthday, Coach. You thought we forgot. No, we didn't. The party's coming at the end of this. And then, of course, we have our beautiful Dr. Slava Al-Nabusi coming all the way from New Hampshire and originally from Saudi Arabia as a Palestinian, Jordanian, global female leader. And she knows I'm going to stumble. I'm like, make sure I got the countries right. And then we have all the way from Norway, our Global Impact Envoy and core team leader, Hakan Yuland. We're so happy to have you. And here comes our very own Deborah Holt, the CEO of Co-Trainings and our administrator here in Global Strategic Leadership. Adding to the spotlight, we've got Trevor Holt. He is also Coach Trevor Holt. He is a global thought leader. We're so proud of this young man. Who else do we have in here? Come on, Trevor, help me. My hands are getting tired. My voice is getting tired. We've got Dr. Marilyn Wiley. She is from the great state of Arizona. We're ready to have Dr. Marilyn show up in here. And then coming from the beautiful island of Barbados, Dr. Anastasia Lewis, one of our Global Impact Envoy. I tell you guys, we're from all over the world. And also we have, again, one of our Global Impact Envoys. Woo! Agata, she's not ready. She's not ready. Let's get Dr. Kareem R. Ellis. You already heard from the master himself. And we also have, let's bring up Evelyn girl. You know, I'm not going to mess up my sister's name. The name Dr. Kareem has taught me is the most important thing. We've got Evelyn Rana Ulachuka. Whoa! Listen, she's going to tear me up. Let's get her in the spotlight there. Welcome, Evelyn. And also, where is We got a couple more. Let's get them in here. That way we know exactly who's here. We're marking our sheet. We've got Tukumemwa from Nigeria. Welcome. We're so happy to have you, our ambassador from Nigeria. And we got one more. We don't want to forget anybody. Please raise your hand so that we can find you. We're just making sure this is roll call.
There we go.
I think we got everyone. I think we've got everyone.
There we've got Dr. Dawn.
Oh, there she is. How can we forget?
There she is.
Dr. Dawn Witt is in the building. Thank you, Deb. You see, this is why we work as a team together. Where is she? Is she in the spotlight or is it just me?
She's in the spotlight with you.
Awesome. All right. So are we ready to take this train off? I get to be the moderator for the first segment. And in this segment, Trevor, let's bring up the team for this one. In this first question, as we take off this jet plane, we've got Dr. Dawn Witt, Ernest Moss, Dr. Slava Al-Nabusi, Deb Halt, and Dr. Ricky is not here. Dr. Kareem is going to jump in on this one. Dr. Kareem has got to be, he's got to be the best. All right.
He is the best. He's got.
I just like, throw him in there. Dr. Ricky's not here yet.
That's what you get for driving a Porsche.
How fast is
Being the
he
right
designed to
vehicle.
go? Okay, so let me make sure. I want to make sure I can see you all. Okay, so our topic on this segment for this first question for our panelists is surrounding the essence of feminine leadership. And the major question we're asking for this one panelist is, can a woman lead authentically in her feminine? Or is it a balance with masculine traits that's necessary? So first of all, when you guys get on this question, we want to know if women have to be mostly feminine or they just kind of have to be mostly masculine. Tell us whether you believe that or not. And then we will jump into this first question, which we will have the panelists raise their virtual hands so we know which one of them is going to answer first. I'll let you know. The first question is, what are the main barriers to gender equality in the workplace and how can they really be addressed? So let's see which panelist wants to go with that one first. Do we have anybody or do I have to pick someone?
Yeah, I can
Deb was like, I work for no one. I am the boss. Dr. No. Deb, are you going to take first jump?
I think Dr. Slava just said that she'd go. So
Oh, I didn't see her hand. Go, Dr.
yeah, no,
Slava.
I think she's got this one.
Give it to us, Dr. Slava. And the question for those who are listening, what are the main barriers to gender equality in the workplace and how can they be addressed?
So I come from a whole different culture and background as far as the definition of being feminine. And if you look at the classic definition of being feminine is basically having the qualities or the appearance traditionally associated with women or girls. So that defines what we call the gender. So I employ about 30 team members. 3 of the 30 are males and the rest is females. But that's the nature of dentistry. Dentistry really attracts the females because we do have the characteristics and to care for people. I'm not saying men don't care for people, but I stumbled on this article that went through with 93 women from Eastern and Western Europe and asked them what would be the traditional or the egalitarian definition of gender role and the belief of gender role. And all of them unanimously agreed that there are certain characteristics with women, Eastern European, the traditional one, and Western European, which is more libertarian, that really helps us take care of people. And that's why, going back to dentistry attracts mostly females because we do have the sense of patience. We do have the sense of compassion. We do have the sense of empathy. We do have qualities that will take care of people, and that's why we are most through history. We are the caregiver of our children, because we have these emotions that we can channel in order to produce care for the people that, you know, dependent on us. So to answer your question, when I hire, you know, I have a male who was a Marine for 8 years. I have another male who was an oral surgeon assistant for like 10 years. And then of course, my husband, who's a co-CEO, comes from the semiconductor industry. So these are the 3 guys out of 30 women that ranges the ages from like 18 up to 57 years old. And it's very fascinating. In our office, it's almost like we have that, you know, professional observational data model that we can see the difference between how my male team members reacts towards things and how my female members react towards the same thing. So I don't like to, gender equality is very, very important in order to give everybody the opportunity as humans to perform and to produce and to apply themselves, for sure. But at the same time, we cannot deny that we are different. The way we look at things differently than you know, men and women do. And it's not like, you know, I'm trying to judge a certain gender. This is my observational data. I've been doing dentistry for 25 years. I have observational data coming from male-female patients, and I have observational data coming from male-female team members. So honestly, the best thing that I can give you is look at everybody as a human being, first and foremost. And I do hire on personality style, not on skills. I do train on skills, but when I hire for personalities, regardless what the gender is. So, and in order to lead in that model, you have to be mastering a mindset that this person that you're hiring is a human, and you got to look beyond gender, look at personality first, then train on skills. But that's what has been very successful for me. And I learned that years ago, a decade ago almost, with our you know, practice coach and my life coach too. And it has been very, very rewarding, and it has been very, very successful, you know, creating leaders within the team that we also have. Because when you look beyond the gender and you focus on the humanity characteristic and humanity property, you know, you override that feminine definition, the classical feminine definition, that there has to be a certain properties or certain characteristic for every woman, every girl. This time and age, it doesn't really matter anymore. You have to look at it as human. And if you look at the definition of human, and I wrote it down from Latin, humanus, it means man, earth. In the Germanic, man is equal to person. So when you break it down, the bottom line, you are the person of earth, okay? Now, unfortunately, history and culture and beliefs and religion, and I'm not trying to stigmatize religion, organized religion, it started because of benefits and stuff. They put us in a different ranks, male and female. You can do this, I can't do that. I can do this, I can't do that. One of the challenges that we have with the female team members, they're constantly comparing themselves to the males. Why are they not reacting that way? Why are they approaching this way? You cannot deny there is a biochemical differences between a male and a female. That's God-given. We are made in a different equipment. We are made in different chemistry. I've been in a preventative diagnostic profession for 25 years. There is a difference for sure. But where are we similar is how you nourish that qualities that you have, like, you know, setting up a mindset, setting up goals, how you're going to approach things, why you're approaching things, and breaking things down. The mental processes and the psychological process, that is your quality, has nothing to do with your biochemistry. So I hope that makes sense for everybody, but that's, I would like it, one of the secret of our success And because of that, like even when somebody, you know, leaves our organization, we get bombarded, people just sending people to work there because of the culture that we created with that equality and just the understanding. And I teach my team that look beyond it, even when they have a very challenging patients in the chair. I tell them just look beyond that. There's just human. Look beyond. Oh no, he's an old man. He's very grumpy. He's a guy, and I feel uncomfortable. No, just look at them as humans. So
awesome. Wow. So listen, if you guys didn't get it, she taught us some things, because the whole human thing, I am sitting here thinking, I knew it, because all the time the Bible say, if a man think, okay, so we get it. So you guys, that is a whole lesson. Thank you so much, Dr. Slava. So going over to our next question, we want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity. So I'm asking all, making sure that you add value and we get in and get out as quickly as possible so that we do have the opportunity. So anybody else had anything else they wanted to add to that briefly? She did such a fine job covering it all on that question about whether, when it comes to balancing the woman and the man, it's really person to person. And I believe that, in my personal belief, I say we both possess masculine and feminine energy, and it will rise based on what our call to action is in the moment. And so we all can nurture and we all can be strategic, and there's no limitation. And Dr. Slava, you highlighted that very well. So the next question that we have for our panelists, and we probably want to hear this from our men, so I'm not just going to pick anyone, is how can men really support women in their role and in their leadership role in the work environment? Like, do we need you guys? The question is yes, but how can you all do that better than it's been done already? How can men encourage?
I'm gonna let Coach E jump on here on this one. I'm gonna let Coach E jump in. It's the birthday celebration. I'm gonna let him hop in.
Becoming
I
allies
appreciate that.
in the
Happy
journey.
birthday to you, Coach.
Yes, thank you. I'm 38 again.
Oh,
So,
stop it. 38 plus tax, shipping, and handling.
right. For annually for a decade now. But I love the topic, and I do feel that men accepting women for who they are, because here's what I'm hearing, and Dr. Slava mentioned this also, is that everyone is unique. See, we were taught through school, here's one test for everybody, and you have to pass it. And we're cookie cutter into society. So what I mean by that is we use a cookie cutter approach when we sit back and say whether or not someone is a leader, whether they're a follower, and every great leader has been a great follower. So you can't separate those two, but we judge when we shouldn't judge. And we judge based on appearance, based on sex and gender and things of that nature. But as men come into understanding that she's better than me at this. So I'm speaking from my experience. I'm a married man, a girl dad, and they're bosses. Like it, and they boss me. And I love it, but they're still feminine. They're sweet as could be, but they have grit. And what I've learned is me accepting that instead of these gender roles that I don't agree with at all. Most of the managers I've ever had have been women, and they've been great. So me coming into understanding that she has more than just what society has cookie cutted her to be. She has more to offer. And once we as men understand that, then that union of marriage, that union of partnership will just allow us to climb so much more. So I do believe that men are critical in this, but I love the fact that women are taking the lead more and more each day. Dr. Alisa, Deb, it's a ton of great women. And I'm enjoying the movement because it's a beautiful thing, and you all have so much to offer. And the sooner we men understand that, the better we'll be as a community and as an overall society.
I got to jump in and tag him on this one because Coach E laid it all the way out. The only thing I want to do is see if I can sprinkle a little bit of flavor on it. One of my favorite speakers in the whole wide world. You know, God bless him. You know, the late great Miles Monroe. And Miles said, if you don't know the reason for a thing, if you don't know the reason why a thing exists, there's a 99.9% chance you'll somehow find yourself abusing it. I'm gonna say it again. If you don't know the reason for a thing, if you don't know the reason why a thing exists, there's a 99.9% chance you'll somehow find yourself abusing it. And so I think what happens with a lot of men, because we've had such a male-dominated society for so long, the rules have been created to benefit and favor men. It is very hard for men to jump into transition mode and understand women in the workplace, women in entrepreneurship, and women's value all across the planet. Now, one thing I'll say before I land my plane and pass the mic back to the mod, I'll throw out there very, very quickly. There's a difference between a lion and a lioness. I'm gonna say that again. There's a difference between a lion and a lioness. I've told people on stages across the globe that a lioness is known as one of the world's greatest hunters, or assassins, if you will. A lioness does not need a male lion to help it hunt. I've never seen a lion say, oh, I can't go out on the hunt because Big Daddy ain't here. I've never seen that happen, right? And the beautiful thing is the male lion understands the lioness's strength and the value she brings to the table. So there's a balance that takes place. But if I don't know your value, it's very hard for me to be inspired by it. And what I'm not inspired by, I'm typically intimidated by. Come on, somebody. Right? We got a lot of lionesses out there in this day and age that are intimidating a lot of people because they don't understand the reason for them or the value. So I think with men, that balance shifts when we get to a point where we understand better and understand the nature and the roles and the value we create moving unified together versus doing it individually. I'll pass that mic back to Dr. Lisa.
Woo, boy, listen, we are starting to fire, but I guess we're going to have to do this again because we just came to the end of the first question in the panel discussion. The essence of leadership. Can women lead authentically in her feminine or is there needed for balance in her masculine traits necessary? And you all did not fail us. Thank you so much, Dr. Kareem, Coach E, and Dr. Slava. Eloquently well done. At this time, I get to pass the microphone to our next co-host and moderator for this segment for the next question for our panelist, Dr. Kareem R. Ellis, over to you. You're muted, Doc.
I hate that. Like me and Zoom gonna have a conversation about this one day. Like I'm tired of getting ramped up and then hitting this vocal brick wall. So
I'll see if I can take care of you on that part as far as the muting, even though I didn't wear my turtleneck today.
I got you. So someone helping me by bringing the panelists in for this because I don't want to try to multitask.
They're all here. They're all here, so they know themselves. So jump in. For this one, I know we have Ernest, Evelyn, Hakan, Trevor, and Sename, who's not here.
Okay. Can we bring the two that from the last panel discussion back who didn't get a chance to respond? Because we had two people from the last panel. Well, Deb's here, but we had another young lady that didn't get a chance to respond. Can we bring her back on this one real quick? There she is, Dr. Dawn. I said, where's she hiding at? There she is right there. All right, so for part two, and again, we're asking everybody to keep your questions concise. That way everyone gets a chance to give us their value. Part two of this is all about tech and beyond. Tech and beyond. This is all about unveiling the untapped potential of women in non-traditional career paths. And I gotta question that thing about tradition at this point in time because the way the globe is set up and how things have changed so quickly, I'm not sure what traditional is at this point in time because things have shifted so much. And so I'm going to start to throw these questions out there. Feel froggy and leap out there and snatch that up if you choose to. Our panelists here, we got Ernest here, we got Evelyn here, we got Hakan here, we got Yulin here, and Simony here, and Trevor's here, and Deb is here as well, of course, with Dr. Alisa Whyte. So the very first question I have for everyone under the sound of my voice, what barriers do you believe prevent more women from pursuing careers in non-traditional fields like the tech market and the construction? What barriers do you believe are preventing more women from pursuing careers in those industries?
Mindset.
Mindset, all right. Can we go a little bit deeper with that real quick?
Well, I don't, it goes back to you can't give away what you don't have. So if you don't believe that you can, then you're not going to pursue.
Okay. I can agree with that. Do we have any women on the panel that's actually in what we call an untraditional field right now?
Yes, She's just entered the room, but she's not on yet.
Not on the panel? Okay. All right. I was hoping we had someone on the panel that would fall into it. Anybody else want to jump on?
I'm gonna jump in. I work in construction, but I'll let Dawn go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, my youngest daughter is she went to school to study engineering. And
Okay.
so there was a very few girls that were in the engineering department. And, you know, I've always told my girls they can do anything they wanted. For me personally, like that never appealed to me. So I think maybe it's mindset that you can do it, but also like, is there a strong desire that women want to go into those fields? And not all women, again, we're all different, but.
And that goes to the why, right? That goes back to the why. I mean, I spend a lot of time in the athletic arena. And so I think that's 15% of D1 female athletic directors in college, and it's 21.8% that are high school female athletic directors. Thank you, Title IX. So it's progression, right? It's progression, but there also has to be a why you want to do it in the first place.
Well, I know Dr. Lisa, you're going to leap in real quick, and after you, I'm going to grab Coach E. Coach E wants to add some flavor to this, but Dr. Lisa, what you got?
Thank you, Dr. Kareem. What I've noticed, because I do coaching and training in construction field down here in Phoenix. I work with construction people entering the workforce in construction. And so there's so many women. I personally don't work in construction. I still do what I do as a workforce strategist. But there's so many more women coming into the field of construction. And so when I first started working with this particular group of workers, the question for me was, can these women truly get high on these things? Do they want to lift heavy? Do they want to do concrete and cement work? And the answer was yes, right? And then there were some women who were coming and they're like, I want to work in construction, but as a woman, I can't do that, right? And so it goes back to what Deb said. It's what you believe. So you have just in this scenario, you got women who come in and was like, that's why I came to do concrete. And they're making, $3,800 a week doing concrete. And then these women are like, yeah, I want to work in construction, but I'm not getting on a ladder. I'm not lifting 25 pounds. So again, it's that mindset. And whatever your mindset is, that's what you're going to do. There's no limit. I love what you said, Dr. Kareem, about the lioness. Everyone who's following me on social media sees I play with the lioness on myself because I've called myself that from a child. She never hesitates. So we just go back to what Dr. Slava says, human. And with that, I yield. But our tech person, we have a tech, one woman that's tech as an envoy is Evelyn. So Evelyn, this is for you when Dr. Kareem goes round robin.
Gotcha. Let me grab Coach E real quick and I'll get Hakan. Coach E, what you got?
So I've been in the tech industry for 17 years now. I taught tech at ITT Tech. I've been in corporate America with all IT jobs, and it's about 30% women that's in IT right now, in tech, and actually 26.7%. Here's what I'm learning, though. As I was teaching my students, my classes began to become more women. And I love that because now in tech, you're not judged whether or not your back is strong. Like Dr. Alisa said, whether or not you can lift concrete and climb on top of buildings. In tech, if you have the mind, then people respect you regardless. What I've learned with the women in tech is that they have a little more grit than the guys. They come off a lot stronger than some of the guys because a lot of them feel that they have to do that. But there's a balance in that also because we love the fact that they are feminine, that they are women. So balancing that is something that I've learned in tech, that some go a little overboard to really get their point across. But in this male-dominant world, sometimes that's required. But I love the fact that the numbers are growing in the tech field. But yeah, I wanted to add that because, again, I'm in technology. Most of my managers through my entire career have been women. And I mean, they're making nice salaries, 150 plus. So the women can go up the ladder. They can move up, but it is going to require some grit in tech because you're dealing with engineers. But I love the balance that's coming and the respect that the women get in the tech world. That's my experience.
I got you. I'm gonna grab your counter real quick, but I gotta respond to that real quick as well. Growing up, I was always strategic, which means that I was gonna be very, very careful about the moves I made when it came to making money in career. So I wasn't gonna be that dude on no assembly line. For me personally, I wasn't gonna be doing no construction work. I'm way too pretty for that. You ain't about to have me with blisters and sores. So I was always moving towards call center work. But I love the idea of the tech field being such a level playing field that your ability, your strength, and your muscle doesn't make a difference. You can win, but this is strategy. Hey, Con, jump in there and get some of this action, my friend. What you got?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking on this from the opposite side. I also worked in tech for 5-6 years or something. Well, a little bit more, but I also worked in social work for 20 years.
Yeah.
And if women that in social work in Norway is like 90% female dominated, if women can do the chores that are done in social work with lifting handicapped people, with the emotional resilience that's necessary when you meet some of the toughest situations you can face. My question is, why can't they do it also in tech? Why can't they go over those barriers that we talk about, that, oh, you can't do it in tech because that is so, you have to be logical and all that stupidity. That is just some preconceived notion that to me, it doesn't make sense at all. Because tech is a field where it's necessary. Of course, logic is necessary if you're a coder, for instance. You need to have be really detail oriented, but you also need the visions. You need to have the ability to create concepts, to go into aesthetics, to truly see all have the overhanging point of view that is necessary. And any young girl who's sitting watching this, who's thinking, I'm not sure if I can. Of course you can. Of course you can. Look at some. I used to be a gamer, and some of the most beautiful games I've seen were designed by ladies, by girls, by women. So to truly see that and the same goes for construction. I mean, today we have tools that can help us with just about everything. So why go into what you lack if you don't feel that you have the power? You got the brains. Use it.
I love it. I love it. So I wanna shift directions real quick, and before I do that, on a different question, I believe what Hakan said is wonderful, and one of the reasons why I think so is I've learned in life it's hard to be a thing if you can't see a thing. I'm gonna say that again. It's hard to be a thing if you can't see a thing. So for me, growing up being a man of color, it was super important for me to see successful people that look like me, right? Because it was easier for me to be successful in the field of my choosing, knowing there's other people out there that can do it. I feel the same way when it comes to some of the dynamic women I've come across in this journey that we call life, right? Super important for them to be able to put that success out there, not from a braggadocious spot, but to inspire other women to know, hey, the good fight has started. Let's keep on pushing and keep getting dynamic results. I want to ask a different question, and this question is for anyone that wants to leap in again. Can anyone here share any examples of successful initiatives or programs that have effectively encouraged and supported women in entering and thriving in these different industries? You guys know of any initiatives or any programs that you are aware of, maybe you've gone through or you referred people to that encourage and support women that want to enter into these different, types of industries? No? Nothing? Do any of you guys have coaching programs that do that? I know Dr. Lisa has a coaching program that kind of gears people towards that. Anybody even have a coaching program like that? Or
Dr. Cream, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I was responding. Sorry.
Yeah. The question was, I'm trying to see if anyone here has any types of examples of success initiatives or programs that have effectively encouraged and supported women in entering and thriving in these different industries. So for someone that says, I want to go into tech, but I don't know where to start it. Does anyone have like a program or anything that they've either done or they can refer people over to that gets them in go mode?
Go ahead, Deb.
So I'm fortunate that I've got a couple of programs with our core trainings, and one of them, we do a student-to-student mentoring program, and it's not necessarily geared strictly towards women, although we do work with private high schools that are women, are all female, but it's upperclassmen mentoring the incoming class. And so when we do this, typically it's a 60-40. So we have about 60% of those that sign up to be part of are females, are women who want to serve, who want to mentor, who want to put themselves out there. And I also have a very specific workshop that is designed learning to lead, and then leadership for ladies, or leadership for women, that we specifically focus on what leadership is and what it's not, and everything that goes along with that, that's specifically designed for women in our programming.
I love it. Dr. Lisa, you gonna jump in also, or?
I want to hear from Janaea. She had something in the chat. Go ahead, Janaea.
Oh, well, I'm in tech. I didn't want to jump in because I'm not a part of this particular set of panelists, but I work in tech. I am a sales trainer. I get to train all of the salespeople all over the world for these global 500 companies. And one of the things that has really given me a pause is when I see women that come into my training class and they're so thankful that they have a female trainer. And just like Dr. Kareem said, if you can't see it, you can't believe it for yourself, right? And so one of the things that's really important for us to do is to continue to network and to continue to give people the space to shine. So that way, not just for them to shine, but so that the people coming up can see that. And I think that's what we need more of. We just had Women's History Month, and sometimes we keep hearing about the same women over and over and over again. I'm a proponent for learning about women's history, but I'm more of a proponent about learning about women in our present, because that's what's really going to shape the children. That's really what's going to shape the future of these industries that we're trying to bring more people in. There's a lot of people that don't even know I work in tech industry now for the last two years as a sales trainer, and I'm touching all of these big companies out there, but no one knows that because we continue to harp on, okay, what's in our history, and I'm all a proponent for that. However, we need to start highlighting some of the people that are doing things right now. And what I was saying in the chat about, some of the women's leadership programs that are out there in some of these colleges, I was fortunate enough that I was given a full scholarship to FAU in women's leadership, just based off of the struggles that I shared. As a female in corporate America, somebody saw my story and decided that they were going to pay for me to shape my experience. And it was because somebody did that allowed me to get into the role that I'm in today. So we have to remind ourselves to let's look at the people that are doing great things now. What can we do to springboard these people into visibility so that way the people can see and then the people can believe? So I just wanted to add that. Thanks, Dr. Lisa.
I ain't got to say nothing. We got the woman.
It's almost the end of Women's History Month, right? And y'all came on here just setting everything ablaze. There's something that Janae said, I think this critical, and I'm all for history and studying from the greats from yesteryear, but you guys can see I'm holding an acorn seed, right? And this seed will only grow and manifest and turn into that mighty oak tree if it's planted in the right soil, the right environment. The problem I have with history is a lot of times the soil that tries that they grew up and create their greatness in has changed dramatically from where we are right now. So I can learn from them, but a lot of the lessons may not apply in this current environment. So I agree with Janai on saying that we need more of our female champions to step up. right? So we can understand what's the secret sauce that made them successful, so I can duplicate the same thing and get greater, if not equal, results. So I got one last set of questions I'm going to ask before we go ahead and pass the mic to the next mod team that's going to step up. And this question again is for anybody who wants to jump in there. I would love to get folks in here that have not spoken yet, because we want to know who you are. We want to know what value drives you, right?
Yes. We have Evelyn on tech.
Yeah.
She's a tech lady. She's literally working in tech. That's what she does.
Oh, we good then.
Yes.
We can't lose.
All right.
All right. So
okay.
How can organizations and educational institutions better promote diversity and inclusion to attract and retain female talent and non-traditional career paths? How can organizations and educational institutions better promote diversity and inclusion to attract and retain female talent and non-traditional career paths?
Evelyn, you know that one's you.
All right, can I go first?
Yes, you are.
Yep. So yeah, there's been a whole lot of things going on in my mind, and yeah, I'm always the last to speak. It's something I'm working on really. But now I will tell you what. Now, when it comes to promoting tech and promoting women in tech and stuff like that, now I am a Black woman from Nigeria. I live in Nigeria, so yeah, we in our own case we face multiple layers of discrimination and a lot of things. Our tech industry is not as developed as what you have in the US. So yeah, women in tech back here in Nigeria, we still have a whole long way to go. And yeah, talking about organizations, I will tell you that there's a whole lot of lip service I have experienced as a person when it comes to women in tech. I'll tell you this example. I was on a panel one day, and fortunately, my husband and I work in the same industry, and most of the time, okay, in that particular panel, they were like, you did this, you did that, did your husband? And I'm like, my husband, what? So now you have to prove that whatever you do, yeah, now you have to prove that whatever you do, it's actually your work, it's actually your brainchild. And as a person, I've seen this happen in so many layers. I first wrote my first Microsoft certificate, my first MCP, Microsoft Certified Professional exam in 2010. And since then, yeah, I can tell you that it's actually been a roller coaster. A lot of people asked me, at some point I had to change my name, and here's what it is. I had a first name and a last name, which were both male names, and everywhere I went, I had to tell people that BC Haruna is actually a woman, because people just look at the name and they just assume if she's doing tech and this is the name, it had to be a man. And then when I eventually put a face to that name, I have to go a long way convincing them that this face actually belongs to the name. Because when we see most of these things we do, it's just assumed that the face behind that name had to be a male face. I did designs for a couple of years, and the major thing, oh, it looks beautiful, I love this, and who is the designer? And they say, oh, the colors are feminine colors. I'm like, what? Now, what colors are feminine colors and which colors are masculine colors? I've also had this one where someone said, oh, with the way your nails look, how are we sure you can do that? How are your keyboard skills? I'm particularly interested in your keyboard skills. Your fingernails don't look like a lot. And then now, these are some of the things that you have to face as a woman. I always go with a black polish on my nails, and I don't expect any organization. I don't need to explain why I have to polish my nails. I mean, if a man goes with a polish on his nails, I think you should just give him the liberty of what he wants to do. So yeah, I can tell you one thing, that when it comes to the African context, there's a whole lot of lip service when it comes to dealing with women, particularly in tech. I can't speak from the other male-driven careers, but I can tell you particularly that when it comes to women, we have all these layers of discrimination we have to face. You have to prove to them that you can do this, you can do that, and even when they see the evidence of what you can do, you still have to go the extra mile. I personally love working with women. I believe I love the energy women bring. I love women teams, and when the Scrum Master is a woman, it's another very interesting thing. But I'll tell you what, if you meet a female Scrum Master and she tells you the things she has to go through dealing with her team of developers, then you will know that it's not funny being a woman and being a Scrum Master. But yes, we do it. Now I'll tell you this final one, and I'm speaking really fast to save the time. Last month, sorry, let me just go this time. Last month I was okay. Dr. Karim?
No, I want to leap in because we got a time frame on it, and I want people to digest what you got without going too far over, because we got another moderator panel that's popping up. So we got your answer, but okay. I got to agree, land the plane and bring it down, because we got another moderator panel coming up. The last thing I want to ask, and this is for everybody here, right? Just give your one thing of advice for anyone who's going to walk into a non-traditional field. For all the women out there that's saying in 2024, I'm going into a non-traditional field, and I'm going to let you guys jump in there one at a time. I'm going to ask you guys, give me one piece of sage advice that you would give to a woman making that decision. I'm going to start with Deb. What you got?
Be sure you go into something that you want to do and that you have a passion for it.
Okay. All right. Coach E, the birthday guy, what you got?
Love what you do and realize that you're unique. And as long as you put forth that energy, then great things will happen. I promise.
I got you. Dr. Don, how about you?
If you love what you do, believe in yourself, and you can achieve anything you want.
Okay. Hawk, how about you? Okay.
If you start by seeing the limits, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If instead you see the possibilities, then you got it.
I got you. Trevor, how about you?
Yeah, I would say the key word is traditional. A lot of times when you're traditional, there's a certain perception of what's supposed to happen, who you're supposed to be. But I would say when you're becoming that next best version of yourself, when you're pursuing entrepreneurship, and no matter if you're a man or woman, a lot of times, and especially in leadership, entrepreneurship, you'll get caught crazy, you get caught weird, you get called this, you caught that. But just know you're not weird, you're not crazy, you're just first. And when you're first, you set a different standard, you raise standards, you shift perspectives, you change momentums, you change thought processes, which change into action. And you're not crazy, you're not last, not last, being first, you're last. That's Ricky Bobby. That's a whole nother subject. You know, but you're not weird, you're not crazy, you're just first, and you have to be first because you let that standard, and then standards are supposed to rise even higher. So when you're going at it, you're just first, and you lay the standards for the rest coming after you.
All right. And Janai, how about you?
I would say the biggest thing is to close that gap of disbelief is to always study your craft, have a growth mindset. The more you learn, the more you believe in yourself, the more that you grow in confidence. And the more you grow in confidence, you grow in confidence.
Gotcha. Did I catch everybody and leave anybody out, did I? Sounds good. All right. We're going to land the plane on this portion of the moderation. I'm going to line it up for Deb. That's going to go into mod talk number 3. Deb, floor is yours.
All right. Are you guys full yet? I hope not, because there's more. There's more. And so I'm going to ask, Trevor didn't get to share all that much on the last panel, so I'm going to ask Trevor to stay on. And then if somebody could help me out and make sure that I have Janaea, you stay, please. Janaya, you stay, please. And Dr. Kareem, you're staying. John, you're staying. And then if we can bring in, Dr. Slavish is there. So somebody's on this. I love you all for getting this done for me. So we're going to shift gears and we're going to keep this momentum. And the question for this particular panel that is the overall umbrella, and then we can bob and weave through some of these questions if we feel like some of them are a little redundant. But bridging the gap. Bridging the gap. What are strategies? What are concepts? What are ideas that we need to talk about to achieve equality between male and female and the counterparts? How do we bring this together? And so the first question we're just going to kind of throw out there are, what do you believe that are some of the main barriers that create gender equality in the workplace? What are some of the main barriers to gender equality in the workplace, and how do we address them? What are some of those barriers? And remember, when you do share, we're going to go like lightning bolt. So I don't want to be rude and cut you off. We have lots of different panels and we want to hear from everybody. So less is more. So consolidate your talks as well.
I'd like to jump in on that because I think there's a theme here that I've heard today, and it is about seeing the person, not the gender. And so I think I just wrote an article about leadership. And it was about the ingredients, I think, that make a good leader, whether you're female or male. But it's sawubona, which means I see you, I value you, you're important to me. If we treat everybody like that, whether they're male or they're female, we value people, they feel heard, they feel wanted, they feel important. That's an amazing way to inspire people and bridge any gap. Ubuntu, which when we remember that I am because we're all connected, then we can work as a team and get things done better. And vision, having a big vision and having people, come together in a vision that broaches all kinds of gaps. So that's my formula. And I think that if we apply that to leadership and anything in life, then we win.
Right. And that brings it back to humanity, right? I value you and I see you. Dr. Kareem.
Yeah, I'll leap in and get some of that. I think a plate to go. I think also to add on what Don said, I think that we are so mired in tradition, right? A lot of times our traditional mindset, traditional thinking sets up gender roles inside the workplace and outside the workplace. One of the biggest truths that most of us fail to understand, that times are literally changing in real time, right? And so I think that's it. It's the adjustment to where we want to be versus where we are. It goes back to what Don said earlier about vision. Most of us have a broken vision. One of my favorite books of all times is Napoleon Hill's Interview with the Devil. And he talks about how 90% of what you think is truth is really some well-placed, thought out lie that someone gave to you, spoon-fed you at an early age, and you believed it because you trusted the source. So my values on women come from what I was raised under my household, from my mother and my father, from schools, from churches, religious institutions and organizations, politicians that make up the whole of it, until we're willing to confront those lies and adopt our new truths based on what we know and what we learn, right? Rather than what's been spoon-fed to us. I think that's the transitional shift we need to see this world turn around and go in a totally different direction.
So how do we help confront those lies? Bringing in, again, closing that gap.
Let me jump in here because I got to kind of rush off. Greetings from the Bahamas, the place where God lives is better in the Bahamas. I'm Dr. Anastasia Lewis. Now, just to wrap up what I think, and it's pertaining to women, especially when we talk about the boundaries anywhere, any organization, any workplace, anything, I do believe that we have to tap into emotional intelligence, because a lot of times we tend to major on the minor. And so a lot of the times we make decisions based on feelings versus the actual truth and the fact, without questioning a lot of things. Women are very, very emotional. And so when it comes down to men and women in the boardroom, a lot of times we're overlooked because we're just emotional and not looking at the real deal. Secondly, is because we are violating laws. And I heard you talk about Dr. Miles Monroe, Dr. Kareem, and he was one of my mentors. One of the things he talked about is violating laws. And one of the laws that we violate is called the law of reciprocity. You get in life what you give. What you don't give, you will not get. And so if we learn those simple laws and don't violate those laws, we'll be able to foster better relationships and be able to come together and work as men and women, because all of us, we have to work together and balance everything out. That's my 10 cents.
Yeah, I'm gonna carry back off of that. That was incredible.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis, for sharing that.
Thank you. So I'm gonna piggyback off of that. And I would have to agree is that what you put into this world is what you're gonna get back. Life doesn't happen just for what you want, it happens for who you are. And so going back to your question, Deb, is what the biggest barrier is, I think the biggest barrier is you're looking at a mirror. That's the biggest barrier, the person you see in the mirror. Because the relationship you have with yourself is a direct foundation and reflection of your relationships with other people. So if I don't see value in myself and all the things that I'm awesome at, then exactly, there you go, the mirror right there. Then if I don't see value in myself, then I'm not going to see value in other people. And then again, it's going back to people, not what they look like, where they come from, where the parents are, what they're doing. It's about who they are as a person. Their soul as a human being is what is right with them. And it's focusing on, we always like to say, I'm a person of value that values people and adds value to them. And so the biggest barrier is helping find people the value that they have, because every single person has values, having God-given talents, gifts, and abilities that are only unique to them, and only them or you specifically can only exemplify to its greatest ability. So it's really finding, honoring that, and working at those strengths. When you find that in yourself, you're going to be able to find that in other people. And then it's just practicing what you do for yourself for others. Find what other people are good at, no matter who they look like, what they do, who they are, and then you help them find what they're good at. And it's about putting the right people in the right seats on the right bus.
I want to piggyback off of what Trevor said, because I think that's really important. Making sure that you have the right leader in place and not just somebody that is just given the title of leadership. That is a big barrier when it comes to corporate America, is putting the wrong people in place. And then things like this come up and then people leave, and then the cycle continues to happen. I was reading an article, and I don't exactly remember where, maybe somewhere on LinkedIn, but it said that when it comes to these type of crucial conversations about gender, about DEI, about race, about everything, that the best place to have these conversations is the workplace, because that's where all different types of people are coming together. However, the workplace is one of the scariest places to have these conversations. So how do we bridge that gap and make it comfortable? And like someone said, I think it was you, Dr. Kareem, if you don't know the value of something, you won't understand how to use it, right? We don't understand the value of the workplace and the ability where everybody is coming together, different cultures, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. And we have to be able to place the seed. And the best way to place a seed is through conversation. So we have to encourage leaders when they get into place how to have difficult conversations, and to make sure that women's leadership, women in the workplace, gender in the workplace, race in the workplace is a continued conversation. And we can't be afraid of that.
And I also don't think you can have that conversation if you don't go back to what Dr. Lewis said when she talked about the social and emotional piece, and then what Trevor said, and you fusing this all together, and what Don said and Dr. Cream says is the value, and I see you. We've got to fuse all of that together and build the relationship, because like Trevor said, and it starts with ourselves. The relationship that you have with yourself is a direct reflection of the relationship you have with other people. But you can't have these conversations because people are going to, be closed off, and the whole it has to be, we have to build the relationship first, which means I see you, I hear you, I value you regardless of gender. And then the conversation is not going to be in an auditorium style setting that we're speaking and talking at, but actually sitting at the table. Because I know one of the things that we all talk about is there room at your table? And I know, yes, we have the sphere of 5 people around us that we're going to continue to keep going, but it starts with the relationship. You cannot have these difficult conversations if you don't have connections. And the only way that we can build connections is to ask questions, because questions are the secret to connections.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. And then you got to have those difficult conversations too. A lot of people want to just completely kind of just dust on it, but you got to have, if you want to have a strong relationship, you want to have a strong foundation, you got to have those difficult conversations. You got to have them. It's inevitable. People are so scared to, cater towards people. You got to just lay the facts down, and then you got to get over yourself and just get to where you want to be and have those tough conversations with listening to everybody on their side and doing for the greater good. And that's just us.
So I want to move. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Cream, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just real quick. I've done a lot of DEI talks for organizations, and a lot of times they don't want to have that conversation because that conversation can frustrate tempers and excite short fuses. But the one thing I leave with every organization, you cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. Exactly. I say hope in organizations and outside organizations, that's for your personal life. You will never conquer what you refuse to confront, which means if I want to be in growth mode, I have to be willing to have the difficult conversation with the idea that I'm trying to find a positive result. I look at people as resources, and a resource is useless if it's not attached to a vision, right? with most organizations, I want to know what your vision is. Then you'll understand the resources, and the best performance out of any resource is getting past those difficult conversations that allow me to be me 100%, not just the 10% is going to show up because you ticked me off in the workplace. So I'll throw that microphone back over.
I love that. And if y'all didn't get that, let me repeat one thing that he said. Well, a sentence that he had said is that, and this goes in everything, never mind just talking about gender equality, but he said, you can never conquer what you're not willing to confront.
Facts. Before we move on, I know Dr. Slava wanted to just say one quick thing before we transition.
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. I'm a student of history, and I think I agree with Dr. Kareem that, history is history. It's basically the soil that, set us up to this point. And I'm glad that happened, because otherwise we won't be here, right? So if things are all dandy and rainbows and roses in the past, we won't be having that discussion. So historically, going back to the origin, why are women very threatened about certain positions in the industry? Because history will show that women look to men to determine their self-worth. To get ahead, women actually develop a very complex way to actually gain approval and elevate themselves. And that created the syndrome in the professional world is called not enough pie syndrome. And that's why the competition, unhealthy competition, started. So with our team, for example, we always encourage them to understand the personality that you're dealing with, or you're talking with that to, in order to have that kind of communication goes from conversation, not a confrontation. A lot of people, especially the young generation, I hate to say it, they don't say, Dr. Slava, I don't like confrontation. It's not a confrontation, it's a conversation. But if you don't understand the personality that's in front of you, how the present style, and you can approach that person, or you can probe in the healthy way, then that conversation becomes a confrontation. That's absolutely correct. And I agree in all account. Now, serving humanity by helping the new generation goes from the victimhood conscious into the seeker conscious. Then you become creative, then you achieve, then you start working. And also that will help them eliminate the limiting mindset when they go into an interview, when they go into applying for a job. And I hear it from all the young females that on my teams, like, Dr. Slava, I don't think I could do it. It's like, why are you limiting yourself? You haven't even started. This is a brand new day. Surrendering your old beliefs. And that stems from the fact that eliminating that limited thoughts. Starving the scary and feed into love. That's very, very important. I don't care what anybody says. As far as humanity is concerned, doesn't matter what happens, love will always prevail. Always, always, always. And will save humanity. Having a higher version of yourself, just like Trevor and Deb said, and Dr. Kareem said, it's very, very important. But the only way to find a higher version of yourself, you have to look from the outside in and not inside out. Stop comparing yourself with everybody. Stop competing with everybody. You got to compare yourself to yourself, and you're going to compete only with yourself. And that's the best way to create the best version of you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Slava. Well said. And it goes right back to those I am statements. Who do you believe that you are? And that's that self-worth. You have to have the undeniable proof that you are a person that you say you are to maintain that confidence. And so there's a question here that I think maybe we should just ask this. We'll kind of shift around here a little bit, but question in the chat. Many are so into there are no problems, only challenges. And I find this is a problem has a solution, does a challenge.
I would say I would avoid both of those words because they both have negative connotation. And when you already go through something in negative connotation, your outlook towards that outcome is going to be negative. So our biggest challenge or problem in life, to use those, is the fact we think we shouldn't have any problems or challenges. That's our biggest one. And so the thing about challenges or problems is that we think we shouldn't have any, but they're actually a sign of life. And none of us have been or ever will be exempt from challenges. And so they're not a problem or a challenge, it's an opportunity. And it's not happening to us, it's happening for us because of this quote unquote problem or challenge. It's an opportunity for us to attack. And on the other side of that adversity is that next best version of ourselves. So everything that comes at us is happening for us so we can grow to that next level of ourselves. So it's not a challenge, it's a problem. It's an opportunity for growth.
I'll leap in and tag it also. I'm gonna jump into the spiritual realm just a little bit. I'm not trying to convert anybody religious wise, but from scripture that I've read, you know, what I've known through looking at different biblical characters is problems are the very thing that set us up for promotion in life. I'm gonna say that again. Problems are the very things designed to set us up for promotion in life. Or let me give it to you a different way. If anyone is familiar with butterflies and how they go from the stage of transformation from being a caterpillar to a butterfly, 4 things take place. First, there is separation, where they separate themselves from the caterpillar community. And then there's isolation. They're all by themselves. And then they form that cocoon. And inside that cocoon, there's transformation, right? Cells will start to multiply and divide. Butterfly wings will start to grow in a very, very cramped environment. And the next stage of it is elevation. But to get to elevation, the caterpillar, which is now a butterfly, has to exit the cocoon, right? The problem being is I can't break that cocoon open for that butterfly. If I do that, that butterfly dies. Why? Because when the butterfly squeezes through the narrow opening that it creates in the cocoon, the wings of the butterfly actually scooch past the narrow opening, and that stimulates blood to flow to the wings. Without that, the butterfly has wings, but the wings don't work, right? And so when I look at problems, the best results we get in life will come as a result of making it through our problems. And once I have that type of mindset shift, then I look forward to problems, not because my problems are going to destroy me, but they're prepping me for whatever season I'm getting ready to walk into. Or in the word of Joseph, that which my enemies meant for evil, God meant for good. There's always a promotion and bonus on the other side of the problem. I just have to view the problem differently. Now land it there.
I agree. If I could just add on that, because sometimes what happens is we get into this play on words, and I'm not trying to convert anybody either, but my Bible says, call a thing, call a mountain, call a problem, a challenge, right? The problem with it is not in having problems. The problem is not in having challenges. In the workplace, it's when we internalize that as I have a problem, right? I'm the problem. That's where all of the feelings come into play. That's where all of the internal struggle with conversation starts to happen. It's because we internalize that to mean that we are bad people. We are not bad people because there's a problem. We are not bad people because something did not work. That thing has a problem that did not work. And until we're able to place that thing on the outside of us, we're not going to be able to, start to look at the solutions to those problems or challenges. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling anything a challenge or a problem. We just should not take it internally and personally.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think the difference between where most people are right now and where they're supposed to be at is the problem that's put in front of you, right? This seed won't start the transformation process till it's put in the right environment, which is the right soil. For many people, the problems that you encounter every single day, that's the soil for the seed called you. You have to be willing to be planted in it and then break through the top layer of the soil. So I'll pass that back over. Didn't mean to leap in on somebody.
Separate, isolate, transform, elevate.
Simple.
Can I say something real quick?
And then I think Dr. Alisa wants to say something as well, I think.
I'm just going to take half a minute for that.
Go right
So
ahead.
Challenges and problems, we are trained to teach our team to switch those words. And that's part of the process of training them to eliminate the limiting terms. So problem, it means like I'm stuck. There's no way beyond it. A challenge, it's a lot more attractive concept to encourage them to actually work with it and conquer it so they can champion, their challenges and their frustrations too. But without also challenges and problem, we're never gonna grow. This is how we learn, and that's what we teach our team too. So I agree on all terms. You can choose whatever you want. It's a language, right? A man's mindset is a new language that you have to learn in order to heal the old belief or eliminate the old belief and introduce a new belief that, hey, I have a challenge. A challenge equates to, I'm going to find a way, a creative way in order to conquer it. A problem historically is like, I'm stuck. It's a dead stop. It's the end of the road. There's no way. I have to go back and recalculate everything. And a lot of the challenges with the new generation is they give up. When you say you have a problem, they're like, whoa, they shut down completely. So that's why I think we were trying to switch that. Thank you.
So the language, again, the language and the perspective, right? One more time. And Coach Big E wrote in the chat, I just wanted to honor this as well, is that challenge is a great thing. It starts and ends with change. The first, okay, hold on, I gotta slow down. Okay, so don't let my computer freeze while I'm trying to read this, please, and thank you.
I got you in front of me too. So Coach says challenge is a great thing.
Thank you,
It
Trevor.
starts and ends with change. The first 3 letters and the last 3 spell change. We are in a changing world, and it all begins with you. Shout out.
Now that birthday wisdom just coming through.
Right. Come on.
Happy birthday to you. So with that, I think it's fair to say that we can continue to keep moving forward. Thank you all for your contribution. I think that was a super solid, healthy conversation. And a lot of it, as I think in summary, is that it starts with a relationship that we have with ourselves, that our own mindset, that again, this is why we have this platform and all of our perspectives. And so with that being said, you can never conquer what you're not willing to confront. So I appreciate that. And so we're going to go ahead and go into our next panel discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Alisa so she can continue to carry on our awesomeness as we're sharing together. So super appreciate all of your comments and your time.
Woo! I'm having fun. Let me tell you, y'all are going to look back at this and be like, we started something. We got started, and Coach E said, we got to be in the room now. We're going to get together physically. Yes, if you're watching this, you are watching Empower Her Rise by Mindset Mastery 360. You've got the dynamic team. All of our speakers are envoys and leaders and administrators and ambassadors from around the globe. So we're on to the second part. We're now in the second hour. We've got about another 30 to 45 minutes, and we've got 2 questions left. So it's going to get even hotter. And we want to ask for a moment of just sending really great positive love and energy to everyone on the continent of Africa. Africa is taking a big whooping, and our ambassadors and envoys right now are not able to show up on this platform the way they want to because they have load shedding. And some of them are just blessed to even have internet connection and phone. There's been water. I watched a video quick last night. I've been getting stuff from all over the globe. Some folks are without water and food. So let's just send positive energy their way and prayers. But let's talk about something. This is me, and I started this on my social media last year. And the question was, how much is too much? In this segment, we're talking about unmasking the media. And what I want to ask our ambassadors and envoys and speakers today is to everybody come up, and we're just going to round robin. We know the ones who are lead on this. If this is your lead question, you're going to lead the way. But because some people aren't here, we are short on some of our speakers. So just take their spot if you don't mind. Let's do it like we just did. The last round was brilliant. Okay. So the question is, Dr. Whyte, come on, girl, get it together. Listen, co-mods, unmasking the media, analyzing the repercussion of sexualized images on women in social media and other platforms. So the question we're going to start off, in what ways do you believe the media's portrayal of women impacts society's perception of what the female leadership abilities are? It's a hard one. Who's going to jump in first?
I'm just going to say that I think my frustration with that, because we all can agree, social media is awesome. And then we're like, because everything is so perfect. I think the biggest frustration that I find from the platform that I come from is everybody's scrolling, and especially young women. Everyone is just scrolling to try to be the next best version of somebody else because the social media, we can make it look so perfect, and we can put filters, and we can do all the things that I'm guilty too. Filters, perfect, not perfect, but all the good things that are going on. Not necessarily going to show you my ugly cry, but the fact is, internally and personally, that we're not looking to become the next best version of ourselves. We're looking to become the next best version of somebody else. And we do that a lot through social media, because when I say in anything that I'm doing, any types of training, and you ask young people, is it hard to build trust these days? Because of course, building trust is one of our biggest things that we need to try to get done. And everybody will say yes. And so when I say, so what is your number one reason of why, what is the number one reason why we don't trust now as a society? And every single time they will say social media.
Wow, Dr. Kareem, you have some sunglasses on. Why you take them off?
Because we talking about sexual imagery, and I being part of the male species, I ain't gonna lie. I like good eye candy. Now I ain't gonna lie to you, but I know too much candy gives a cavity. I don't want to be in the doctor's office. I want to be getting the cavity filled. So that being said, I use social media probably differently than a lot of people. There's folks on here that use social media pretty much like I do, because we are business owners and we use it as an extension of our brand for marketing. But the beautiful thing about social media, which can be the blessing or the curse, is when you get to showing certain things on social media, it lets me know who I'm doing business with.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's this belief in this day and age that we have to show less and less and less of ourselves to get more and more and more. But again, I think that's also based on, you know, the vision, the value, what you want to be seen as when you show up at the table. This generation is different. Like, I grew up in the 80s, so all our dumb stuff ain't caught. Unless you got like a VHS tape and a VCR, you can't get none of our dumb stuff. These folks out here now put stuff on social media and it lasts in cyberspace forever. And when I say forever, I mean literally forever. So,
and for some reason, they forget that.
They forget it. But the reason why it's forgotten, because that's a cultural norm now. Like, we are being rewarded. We call, I'm going to say something offensive, but charge it to my head, not my heart. Bad bitch behavior. Like, we get rewarded for that. Right? Likes and shares go up based on how outrully what I show, how much I put out there. And then there's the common sense crowd, where we're looking at you, not just what business you bring to the table, but how you carry yourself, because how you carry yourself is an extension of everything you're attached to.
Yes.
My students know that. I tell them, if you're out there in the speaking industry, you better be careful how you present and show up, because a lot of event planners will do a social media search to see exactly who you are. Right? You can sell value with your mouth, but whatever you sell better be reflective of the imagery that you contain and wrap yourself in every single day. Right? And I know this conversation gonna get deeper, so I'm gonna back up off and pass that microphone to whoever wants another piece of that.
I'm gonna jump in really quick. And so everything you all just said, and this is why we created the SheRose Lead platform, because underneath a lot of the BB behavior that Dr. Kareem just explained, the bad bitch behavior, is a lot of things. It's a mindset, and a mindset that came from sometimes trauma, but just sometimes just trying to boss up. And the next question I'm going to ask, so we want, when we talk about SheRose Lead, we're talking about women returning to themselves and from that place leading. Because it's like Deb said, it's not yourself. I mean, we're not saying you can't filter. We're not talking about getting, if you want to get a BBL, go. That's not what we're talking about. It's the fact that you have to become someone else, or take on another persona, or follow a trend to think that you can make impact, influence, and for most money now is what we're challenging when we talk about SheRose Lead. Now, again, we're not going to break it up, but like, who's wearing shorts, who's wearing too many high heels, whatever. It's the why behind everything we're tackling here. So I have a question for our panelists, and the question is, sex sells, right?
It does.
It does. That's the phrase that we've been programmed to. That's the phrase, and I'm going to challenge all of you. We've been programmed to think that it sells, so then it does. We are people that creates our reality. So when the world says sex sells, we go, oh, sex sells. What does that mean for me? And I've had this conversation with you, Dr. Kareem, and a couple others on here. Sex sells. What does that mean for me? And how much sexy is sexy? Well, I'm a naturally sexy woman. So no matter what I do, I'm sexy. I don't care if I got a drool coming down my mouth in the morning. I am sexy. And because I believe that, then I am. right? Too bad for her. Yeah, the guy, anyway. So when women are, I've seen images of women laid out, entrepreneurs laid out on the beach with just a cloth. Is that really needed to sell? Is my question. If not, why? If yes, why? And who wants to take that slice?
Been there. You know, it does sell, right? And it's how you want to present yourself to the world. I remember I did a podcast a few years ago and I said, you know, I want my heart to be the most beautiful thing about me. So the content I put out on social media, everything that I put out into the world, it is about my heart and my mission and my purpose in the world. You know, so I might not have as many followers if I was on a bikini or, you know, in my swimsuit or in some sexy pose, you know, I might get more eyes, but, you know, are they the eyes that I want? Like, I want to connect with hearts. So that's, you know, what I think about whenever I share anything about me or any like cute videos or cute like quotes. It's about, you know, elevating people and sharing my heart.
Listen, Dr. Don said, don't be on my page with no perverted thoughts for all you men. You're not going to find nothing hanging all out. Don't jump on my IG looking for that. You're not going to find it. She's putting that disclaimer out there.
And I both. That's for me and my man. Dr. Marilyn, go ahead.
I think it's sexualized marketing more so. It's the people that's actually laying on the beach and we're watching and we're looking at, just like on Super Bowl. They put the super sexy people up there, but they're not the one that's giving the service or doing the job. So I would consider it being sexualized marketing instead of sex sales.
So how much is too much then? Dr. Marilyn, Coach E.
You know what? It's only entertainment, you all. This is how I view social media. It's only entertainment. Most of it is fake. Most of the people don't look like that. And as you stated, Dr. Alisa, it goes back to the mindset. But I'll tell people a broke clock is right twice a day. So your mind might be set to the wrong frequency. So it's really all about you and your BS, as I call it, and Dr. Alisa does, and your belief system in who you are. If you feel like you that sexy and you got a body that you done worked in the gym and you want to show it off, what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
I don't see anything wrong with that, and that shouldn't be a reflection of who you are as a person. But if you want to view it that way, you can. But here's what I'll let everyone know. Whatever you focus on will expand. So if you focus on the negativity of it, then that's going to grow and you're going to find everything you want to be mad about. Look at this. I can't believe this. And now you're viewing and you're doing what they want you to do by looking at it just to criticize it. So sex does sell, and sex is sold since the Garden of Eden and it's never going to stop, because as Dr. Kareem, I'm the same way. I like nice looking things. Most people, if they're honest, men and women, they like nice looking things. Does that mean that you're going to see me in a Speedo? No. But if you go down my social media timeline, all you see is business. All you see is mindset. Because it's a great tool. But just like a knife can be used to chop up meat, you can stab somebody with it. So it's really about how you handle it based on your BS and your mind being set to the right frequency. Because if you're looking for it, trust me, it's out there as low as you want to go. But there's also a lot of highness with social media. And I think it's the greatest tool ever, because now we have the world literally in the palm of our hands. And so it can be used to our benefit. And if you got something out there, then just make it private.
So and the thing you have to remember when you are putting it out there, that whole time, the thing, words are hard sometimes. The thing is that what you're dealing with is other people's perceptions, and it is what it is, and you can't control that. So,
So I guess the question I have for the panel is: Are we discussing this more in this is my personal social media, so I can do whatever I want to do, Or is this more representative of I'm a business owner, I'm an influencer in a particular light? Because I get it, because I got a lot of fitness people, and that's the reason they put their stuff out there, because I'm a fitness trainer. I got fitness coaching programs and stuff like that. So of course, before I invest in anything, I want to see the results. You're not going to buy a car without test driving it, right? So I understand with social media that some people will use that because it is a part of their brand, right? But then we got a whole group of people that this just thirst traps.
Right.
It is
so
what it is. There's nothing marketing behind it, you know. So I guess that's where the line lies at, as far as, are you going on this pathway, or are you going on this pathway, based on why you're using the tool of social media.
So my biggest thing is, how much is too much when it comes down to the next part that I was going to ask the panel real quick is, how does, again, I love what Coach E and everyone rang out. It's how you think and how you perceive it, right?
Sure.
But we're looking at, we have these young people watching, and young girls and women. And so what does, and I'm, again, like I said, I'm going to be sexy no matter what I have on. It's just me, right? And most of us, all of us. And it depends on who's watching that thinks. Some men would be like, you're not sexy at all. And some men are like, oh my gosh. So that's one thing. But when we have, I'm talking about these over sexualized images that are in the media, how is that impacting our young girls and to believe about themselves? Because there is, how much really is too much, and how is it really impacting? Are we truly showing, if I go out there and I am every day with, you know, the huggiest body, and I got the skin, and I'm showing everybody, what am I telling young girls and women when there's 20 or 30% of the females on social media? That's what they're projecting, and it's actually a higher number. I'm just going, what does it say to them, and is it harmful, and how do we really solve that? Like, what do we teach our young girls about themselves? Because that's not moving, that's there. What do we do? That's my question.
I think there's a certain way that you're sexy, right? Like, I think there's a way, like, out of true transparency, I was sitting back laughing because I was that person that actually posted myself in a hot yellow swimsuit last week while I was on my cruise. And I'm like, is Dr. Alisa talking about me and my swimsuit, right? But I will say this, right? Like, when I posted that swimsuit, I really posted a picture of me in the swimsuit on the cruise as more of a lifestyle post, because Dr. Cream says, okay, so what are you using your social media for? Well, mine is a little bit of mix, because I'm a relationship person, and people do business with me as a person versus a company versus my title, whatever. And my customers, they happen to love to see all of the different things that I do outside of work versus, you know, like going on a cruise and stuff. So for me, when I post pictures in a swimsuit, it's very tasteful. It doesn't say, oh, come get me. It doesn't say, oh, I'm up for grabs, I'm up for sale. Or at least I hope it doesn't, right? No one's come at me in that way, right? But I think it's important to utilize social media, one, for it to be social. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is out here, you know, penalizing all of us for not being social anymore. He says we're doing business way too much on his platform, so he keeps changing the algorithm, right? So we have to still continue to be social, but there's a certain way that you can be social, and it has to be tasteful. Like, I love what Dr. Alisa says. Dr. Alisa is sexy. She knows she's sexy, right? I feel the same way about myself sometimes. However, you're not going to see any pictures of me revealing certain body parts or making it so that I attract behaviors that come towards my way that I don't necessarily want. I really want my female customers and friends to be like, oh, that swimsuit you had on was fire, and create conversation that's outside of my product, outside of what I'm selling, outside of work, so that I can continue to build a relationship with them. So I think what we need to do is we really need to teach our young people that there's a way to do things that will get you whatever type of attention that you want. What is the result that you're looking for? Because if you're getting a result that you don't want, then maybe it's time to take a look at what actions you're doing to get that result. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely. I love it. Dr. Marilyn? Then that will come back to you, Dr. Green. Dr. Marilyn, you're muted, my dear.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
I think another thing that we should consider is the fact that Facebook is multifunctional. So for me, I have a personal page that is social, and I post what I want when I want, and I control who I friend and who I delete. But I also have a business page that's my business profile. And so I wouldn't post anything outlandish on my business page, but I have my own discretion on my social page. And so I think utilizing some of those things, or like I said, the multifunctions that's there, you have to separate your social life from your business life. And I land my plane.
Can I say something about that? One of the things that I was thinking, I'm a mom. First and foremost, I'm a mom, and everything I put on social media, my children will see. So I always keep that in mind with anything I post. And then I work with children all around the world, right? So I also know that they're watching me too. And we can have different role models. And my role model was Mother Teresa. You know, it could have been like Marilyn Monroe at the time, you know, whenever I was growing up, because I'm old. But you know, I chose Mother Teresa because she was doing something in the world that mattered and was like super significant. And I'm not belittling Marilyn Monroe's contribution to life, but like what resonated with me, I looked to her as a role model. So I realized that anything I put out there, somebody could be looking at it. I could be inspiring somebody. And that's why I put out what I do put out.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Dr. Frame?
I'll leap in real quick. And I know Coach E is trying to get in here also. So, you know, I'm a person of vision. So I believe that everything starts with the vision that I have for my life. Every resource has to be anchored to whatever vision I'm going after. One of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Notice he said, think and grow rich, not work hard and grow rich, not bust your tail and grow rich, because the most valuable thing you have on your person at all times is this up here, right? Which means I want to employ this as my number one employee that's going to get me to my fantastic finish line. One of the best chapters in that book is the chapter on sex transmutation. And the problem with the concept of sex, because it's been so taboo as a topic, right? That most people don't want to talk about it or address it. And so everyone has their own interpretation of how they're going to use it or utilize it. It was brought on here earlier from a couple of the panelists about how they use their social media. For the students that I coach and train, I've told them, you can't get on social media and just keep blasting the same thing again and again and again. It can't be business, because you will bore people, right? Which is why I do want to mix it up, because we do business with people we know, we like, and we trust. So showing that personal aspect of who I am, what I love to do in my pastimes, I think that is an essential, so you get to know me beyond the brand that I represent. But the concept of sex transmutation is sexual energy. Sexual energy is energy like any other piece of energy. Energy can't be destroyed, but it can be transferred, which means that I don't have to be butt naked on my social media to draw attention. I can take that sexual energy and I can channel it into how I talk when I walk in the room, the way I dress myself, the way I carry myself. That energy can be something that I can actually wrap myself in and use it that way to achieve my desired result. Come on, you know I ain't up here trying to look and dress sharp by accident. All this is intentional. When you know the vision, you have to understand what resources get you to the vision, from your gift, your talent, your expertise on out, including how you decide to show up and use the energies inside of you to capture your audience. Right. So that's my thought right there. And I'll lay that microphone down for Coach E to pick up.
Man, you a hard guy to follow, man, but I'm going to do my best. Here's my thing when it comes to the young ladies. And you asked the question, Dr. Alisa, what do we do and what's too much? And again, it's not cookie cutter. There isn't one answer. It depends on the individual. But what I'll say is, you know, I'm a 70s baby, Dr. Kareem. So, you know, I got a few years on you. But we live in a world with this generation where they've been raised with technology and with social media. So everyone that's a parent, if you want to know how to curb that and decrease the women just and men just putting anything out there, it starts at home. We can't expect the schools to keep raising our kids. If we want to know why it's this way, look in the mirror. Like, think about, I know it's hard, people don't want to do that, but you got to look at yourself and say, am I raising my child to expose herself or expose himself or be that vulnerable to the world and social media? If they feel strong enough to do that, then support it. Because back in my day, you all have heard me before with this comparison thing. When we compare against our children and their generation, we're bullying them. We're bullying that generation, saying, I wouldn't do it this way, I wouldn't do it that way. So learning who your child is and expressing to them what respect is for their body, because your body is beautiful, as the great doctor said. Everybody's body is beautiful. Say that 10 times. But and understanding that there's beauty in that. It doesn't have to be exploited. And Dr. Kareem, because you're the guy on the panel, you know this as well as I do. Just seeing something all out, that's not even sexy to most men. Most men like to be teased. Yeah. They don't want to just see everything laid out. So that's not even attractive to most men.
That's why I have so many people in my inbox, because I'm always clothed.
Right. But again, it goes back to that's sexy. So I get, on social media, it's a bunch of wildness. That wildness has always existed. Yeah. It's just now we have social media, but it was there. So if that's what they want to do, then embrace it. But if they don't, then explain to them what the ramifications can be if someone does a social proof call on you to see who you truly are. But it's just such a thin line that there's no one answer, because everybody's an individual. And once we understand that individual aspect of us, then we'll stop judging them based on what we've done, what somebody else is doing, or somebody else has done. Let that individual rise and be that SheRose lead.
Come on now.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And y'all dropped the mic. We're going to have to talk about that on another episode or something, because that would go on all day. But I think we're walking away that this thing is going to be that you use it the way you know how. But I'm also going to say that we challenged ourselves and the world to always take accountability, that whatever we put out in the world represents us. And that's what we're going to get back, period. And so no complaints. I have women that I coach in my journey, and I'm like, do you really want me to help you with some of the problems you're having? Because I could tell you what I'm seeing right now on your social media. You married, but where's your husband? And you naked over here. So when you did that, what do you think he thought? Then now he cheating. I mean, these are just questions, because whatever you put out is what you're going to bring back. So whether it's on social media, whether it's in your words and your thought, it's a representative of who you are. And again, we start off with Coach E saying that it's half of it is fake anyway. Most of it is fake anyway. And so we are the light. This is why we have Mindset Mastery 360, because now we're able to be our true, authentic selves, whether it's in a beautiful yellow swimsuit out on a cruise or in a suit jacket with a pink tie. Dr. Kareem be rocking that, man. I tell you, for me, that's fine. Ooh, Lord. Oh,
I got to jump in real quick on Coach E, because I ran into somebody out in these streets, right? They knew me. I didn't know them, because they had so many filters on social media. I said, who the hell are you? There was so many filters. I didn't know who they was. I had no clue. So you got to take it with a grain of salt,
Yeah, it is.
Right.
So you can also have a whole nother conversation about high school scholarships and all that. I mean, people are losing scholarships left and right because of social media, because you don't think that they're paying attention. I just happened to be in New York, where they're having the it's March Madness, right? And for women's basketball. And I was sitting in the lobby of where Notre Dame was getting off the bus because Notre Dame, that all the Big 16 teams are coming in because they're playing in New York. And as I'm sitting there, I'm with one of my mentors who is a former professional ball player. And he's kind of giving me the play-by-play, because he's raising a young child right now who is 15 years old, who is playing on the top team for young men right now in the country. And he's like, see that guy right there? recruit social. And so how are you also, you might be posting this over here on social media, but they're also watching you. So depending upon
Yes.
how much of a limelight you are putting yourself out there.
It's not the same.
We have a neighbor who lost a full scholarship
Yes.
because of being stupid on social media. Boom, that's it. Next,
And
we gotta keep
again,
going.
so basically what Deb just said, and a lot of you said, is based on what your goals are in life, you better watch what you post. And I'm on that. I saw a young girl, I was telling Dr. Kareem that there was a young girl who posed in a beautiful gown for prom, and she had a gun on her gown, a big rifle, and a young boy pointing a gun, and I think she had one in her hand. Lost her scholarship. Again, she wasn't inappropriately in any sense or form dressed according to no one's culture. She was well clothed. She looked like a beauty queen. But the guns were offended. So unfortunately, when you post on social media, you have to think, well, how is this going to affect who I am? Like for us, our brand, and how will I be perceived? And I tell you, no matter if you have a private account, you lock everything. Once it's in the webs, it's on the web. So if you don't want everybody finding out, don't post it. Period. And it doesn't even go about clothing only, right? Thank you all so much for that section. We've got some beautiful comments in the thing. Dr. Green, do you want to give us a couple highlights really quick? Because we want to make sure our audience is engaged as well. Let's see.
Yeah, we got a couple of decent comments that come in here. There was a question I thought I saw. I'm trying to scroll through real quick and take a look.
Hawk said nobody should be seen in a Speedo.
Noelle brought up the concept of smoke and mirrors with filters, and that's so true in this day and age of social media. And that goes both ways. I see a lot of people that use smoke and mirrors to create success they don't actually have or earn. So if you were out there in this day and age, do your homework on people. Success leaves receipts. I can't take nothing back to my regular store without a receipt to show proof of purchase. Proof of purchase in this industry is doing the work. There should be a track record. So I love the fact of smoke and mirrors, but I want to take it in a little bit of a spin. Hawk says down here, nobody should be seen in a Speedo. And I can't lie about that. I'm petty. I did remove some folks about 3 months ago because it was one Speedo too many in my feed. I said, bruh, I don't want to know you on that level like that. I'm good. I need you clothed. I don't need to see London. I don't need to see France. And I definitely don't need to see your underpants. We good, right?
Portia said here it's about intentions too. What are your intentions for posting all the alphabets of your body for free or on social media?
So let's park right there, Deb, because I think that comment is spot on. I think that you have to be 100% strategic if you are trying to jump into business or you're a business owner, right? Most people post and they're not being strategic about what they're posting and why they're posting. So I do agree with that. I think you do need to be strategic with it. Hawk says less is more in his book. Eyes are sexy, full frontal. And then Slava wanted to hop in and give a comment. Slava, we still got Slava here? She available? We still got her? Anybody can help me out here?
I'm right here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You want to hop in real quick. What was your comment?
Yeah, first of all, as a female, I would like to say, number one, sex is the oldest commodity in the history of humanity. Sure. Sex sells, right? So that's number one. Number two, if you remember, the Roman Empire got really caught with all the superficial and unrealistic need in life. And that's how the Roman Empire actually collapsed. When they got detached from the reality and what's important in life, and they got addicted to the superficiality and physicality and plasticity, that's when the Roman Empire, the value just collapsed, the Roman Empire ceased to exist. So that's number two from a historic point of view. Now, it's what I would teach the young women in my team is to have integrity, all right? So to have integrity is to respect your place in space, on this earth, and in your life. You have to have a self-respect. A lot of these young women reach out to social media as a cry for attention, okay? They don't want it to do it in a social setting, in real setting, like conversation one-on-one in a group. They want to do it through what they call the virtual social setting, which is a social media. That stems from looping back to what we talked earlier, is it's a confrontational. It's a conversation, not a confrontation. They don't want confrontation. They want to send it out there and walk away from it without having to have accountability, questions, why, intentions, and all that. It's a lot easier for these young people, and Deb probably agree with me because she works with youth a lot. It's much easier for them to send something out, not be accountable, walk away from it, instead of actually doing something in front of somebody that said, hey, hold on a second, you can't do that. So it stems from self-integrity and self-respect, definitely these young women, and that's what we need to teach in order for humanity to prevail and for these young women becomes leader, becomes entrepreneur, and to have that confidence in themselves.
Can I leap in real quick? I know we're about to transition to the most likely like the last panel discussion, but I guess the thing I have is I will be curious, because I believe that everybody here is a parent, and even though this is geared towards women, I know we got young men that are going to be listening to this too. We got parents of young men as well. So I will be curious as to what is the conversation you have, like one thing you have told your kid about social media so they don't end up messing up a fantastic opportunity down the road. Because I was in a relationship with someone who had a daughter and a son, and they had social media. They just had 2 different accounts. So they had the dummy account that the parents knew about, and they had the whole second account under a different name that nobody knew about. And of course, like all kids, you can't get nothing over on us, right? Because we done it all. So it's a matter of time before it comes out. But when it comes out, there was shock and surprise, because I didn't know you was doing all this and saying all this on social media. So for all my parents on here, what's like one thing you've said to your kids so they don't mess their future up by a snippet, a comment, a video, an image that's going to come back and bite them? Coach, he's jumping right in here. What you got, Coach?
It's just like words. Once you speak them, you can't take them back. So what I tell my young people, and I have 5 kids, ain't none of them kids though. The youngest is 16, and I got a 32-year-old. But what I let them know is that whatever you put out there is out there.
Yeah.
And you got to be accountable for that. So if you do lose money opportunities or entrepreneurial opportunities because of what you put out there, then stand on it, because you can't take it back. And when we go through the social media laughing, because it's really entertainment to me, I love to laugh. So it's hilarious to me to see some of the garbage that's out there. And I show them that it's not, don't you do that, you better not do that, because if you tell a kid that, you know they're going to do it. And they're going to do it behind your back, and they're going to do it secretly. So if you're more open about it and make it where it's fun, because it's really entertainment, you take the energy away from it by being, that's bad. Don't you dare get on social media. Don't you do this. You take the energy when you show them this is just make believe. So that's what I teach mine is it's all make believe. It's all smoke and mirrors. And if you want to put it out there, then put it out there, but be accountable for what you put out there. Just like when you say something, you can't take it back.
Anybody else?
Well, and I also think, I mean, I'm a visual learner. Most people are visual learners. And when you break down communication, 55% is visual in reference to communication. And so, and again, you're dealing with a generation that this is their world. And so you've got to, first of all, you need to coach yourself as to how you're going to approach this, because we have generational diversity, right? And so being the visual, I love the fact that you said, Coach, that is to be realistic. Like, don't be this, oh, life is so perfect and I'm a perfect parent. No, I'm not. I totally have moments where I'm like, sign me up for the worst parent of the day today. And so it's a matter of like literally showing them and giving them the picture, giving them the visual. Oh, and here, by the way, here's your friend. And you're right, Dr. Ellis, is that those fake accounts, they all have them. They all have them. And it's more than one. And so I think for me, it's always that realistic approach. When somebody got bagged, I'm going to let you know, look, I saw that this person got bagged and people see this. Is that what you want? And be realistic. So I know we got to keep going. So.
Gotcha. Moderator, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you all so much. So much vibrant conversation. It's going to be fun trying to put this on podcast. because we won't know which one to pick. It'll be quite a few episodes. So we're switching gears. We're moving into building sisterhood. This one's going to be really great. And we, again, all the panelists are able to step in, but the main ones, please go ahead and do first. The main ones coming in is Dr. Marilyn, Charlotte Manuel, who we haven't heard from, Noah Ellis, who we haven't heard from. I think Agatha is still here and she might not be able to put her camera on, and Dr. Slava. So Deb, over to you, sister.
All right, so we are going to do our best to streamline this because I want to be very cognizant of everybody's time, because at this point we should be wrapping up, but I think this is an important one that we need to talk about, is that sisterhood. And so the question, the umbrella on this one is building sisterhood and healing competitive nuances among women for a stronger collective force. So again, getting rid of the stigma, if you will, about all of that. So what are some, let's fuse some of these questions together, and that how can we support, maybe what is a strategy you have that supports sisterhood, that supports other women, and what are some common misconceptions about females and competition?
I can hop in on this one if that's okay, everybody. I think one of the common misconceptions when it comes to competition with women is that it's always negative or harmful. Unhealthy competition certainly exists, but healthy competition is motivating and it's a powerful tool for growth. I personally love a bit of healthy competition. If I see sis and she's got a bag, I want a bag too. If I see girlfriend in the gym and she's benching 225, I'm trying to bench 225 too. But I think where a lot of us run into trouble is we fall victim to the mentality of queen bee, which is the idea that there can only be one, when in actuality, there's enough for all. And it's much easier to obtain more and become more when you surround yourself with people of excellence. And those are people who are going to force you to become better. You're dangerous on your own, but you're an absolute unit when you're part of a strong community. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to female competition.
Awesome. Well said, Noelle. Thank you for sharing. And right, there's enough for all of us.
Hello. I think basically.
No, go ahead, Charlotte.
Okay. I think that some of the common misconceptions is, number one, that we do not like each other, that we don't get along with each other, all these types of things, which are really not true. If you think about sisterhood and you think about your sister, you're really concerned about your sister. You really want her to be successful. But sometimes we just get kind of caught up into ourselves. What do we want? What do we like in that competition? But healthy competition is good. If you are competing for a job, that is a good thing. There is more than one job. If you do not get that position, it's okay. We have to learn, again, how to heal and how to process that, how to communicate with our sisters. What's going on with you? How are you feeling? What's good? And being accountable. If we did something wrong, if we said something wrong, if we hurt someone, say, yes, I did it. I apologize. I did it because I was going through this or that. But we want to learn. Accountability is we don't want to continue to make the same mistakes. We don't want to hurt our sisters. We want to be able to rise up. Another thing with healing that is to forgive. Forget what has already happened and forgive that. Be patient with one another, because we got to think about what we want, right? I'm a health and wellness coach. So being well, as Dr. Anastasia talked about, emotional health and being emotional, we have to be responsible for our emotions. So that's part of being accountability. So we want to kind of lead with kindness, and that is how we heal. Forgive, be accountable, and talk to each other, communicate. Those are some of the biggest tools in being emotional well and being confident in those types of things, and just healing those relationships.
And forgiving sounds so easy to do. Oh, I'm just going to forgive you. Well, it's not that easy. So how do we forgive? What's that strategy?
In forgiving someone, you first. I'm sorry, someone else was talking.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
In forgiving someone, you first want to think about what they did wrong. Give them an opportunity sometime to explain themselves. But also sometimes you don't get an explanation. You have to learn how to forgive. You have to be patient. You have to talk to yourself and think about being empathetic. Again, thinking about your sister. That is how you start to forgive. No matter who you're trying to forgive, think about, put yourself in their shoes. And sometimes, again, you won't get that explanation, but you have to be able to process that. And for me, I'm a believer. I ask God to forgive me. Sometimes I have to look at something that's bigger than me and say, this is too hard for me. I'm having a hard time forgiving this person. Help me to forgive. And sometimes you'll do the hard things and speak to them, say hello, give them a compliment, even when you don't feel like it. That is how you push through, and eventually you're able to forgive.
And Noelle, you wanted to comment?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to agree with Charlotte. Forgiveness is really for yourself. So when you're forgiving somebody, you're forgiving them for yourself. Like she said, you don't always get closure when you forgive somebody, but the only way that you can become free of something that's holding you down or bothering you is by forgiving that person so that you can move on with your life. So forgiveness is very important, but just don't think of it as I'm forgiving that person and somehow I lost. No, you won because you forgave them, because now you're free. So that's a great way to think of forgiveness.
Awesome. And Dr. Kareem.
Yeah, so I'll leap in. I know Dr. Watt had her hand up, so we can grab her in a second. You know, I'm make sure we filter it around the room. Again, I'm gonna throw some biblical context in here. Y'all close your ears if you think I'm trying to convert you. Right? One of my favorite stories in the book of life has to be the story of Joseph, right? If we want to talk about betrayal on the highest level, it revolves around his brothers that was already jealous of him because he was dad's favorite. We know that in the story, Joseph got the FUBU coat of many colors, and that drove them through the wall, but then he made a huge mistake. He said, I had this vivid dream, and in my dream, y'all were bowing down, worshiping me. Now, for those of us that read the context, we know that dream came true at the end of that story, right? But after being betrayed by his brothers, because his brothers originally wanted to kill him, they didn't want to just sell him off into slavery. They wanted to get rid of him, which is another reason why it's so important to have discipline with your God-given gift and talent. If you have a gift that lacks discipline, it will almost always create destruction for you or folks around you, right? That's a whole nother topic. But we see him go through several barriers to get to the point where he's second over all of Egypt. And the big test of everything came down to his character. He was in a position where he could easily snap his finger and have his brothers paid back in blood for what they did to him, the years they cost him, the torment they put him through. But he said, that what you meant for evil, again, God meant for my good. The final test was a test of character. When we forgive people, it's a test of our own character. Because we can't go back in time and change anything. Until someone comes up with a time machine, until someone creates a DeLorean where I can go back in time like Michael J. Fox, until somebody comes up with a Wayback Machine so I can get one of my boys Peabody and Sherman. Somebody, I just dated myself when I just said that. Coach, he's cracking up. And go back in time. Where are we going to be, Mr. Peabody? It doesn't exist. The only thing I can do from the past is learn. Now, when I forgive, my job is not. There has been people that I have forgiven. I'm forgiving you because it benefits me, but I won't forget. You don't get access back into my circle, right? I want to be clear about that. So forgiveness is for me, and it's the biggest development of my character. And oftentimes, like I said before, the problems we face in life are the barrier between where we are and the next level of our promotion, which is why it's so important to get it right so I don't repeat a grade. I don't feel that for the spiritual folks, God is like George Bush. George Bush is known for promoting No Child Left Behind, which means you could be dumb as a box of rocks, and when you start growing facial hair, we're just going to move you from the 6th grade to the 7th grade because we can't have you be 18 years old in the 6th grade. I don't think God does that. God will let you repeat a grade until you pass the test, because everything that comes after this is beneficial on you getting a passing grade, right? So I'll park it right there and pass it to Dr. Marilyn.
Dr. Marilyn, I'm just going to ask if you can hold on for 1 second, because we have Agatha here who is not on screen and she's limited. So Agatha, if you could, I'll unmute you. Oh, you did unmute yourself. So go ahead.
Thank you so much. So like Dr. Alisa said, we are actually experiencing load shedding. So I'm on solar and I was just waiting for this opportunity. So for me, some of the misconceptions, I've been in the corporate world for about 28 years plus, and I'm going to speak through my experience. So some of the misconceptions is that women don't support each other, and that women, we are actually, hindering others to actually go forward. And there's some truth in it, but I've seen, especially where I am, things are changing. We are learning to support each other. We are learning to uplift each other. And as for me, in my corporate journey, because I started banking as a teller and I've risen through to where I am today, it's really been, how do I find my voice and help other women find theirs? if there's an opportunity, I'm sitting on the table, and if my voice will add to uplifting another woman, I normally do so. So really, it's about us women telling our stories, encouraging others that they can do it. And sometimes I say, throwing them in a cup of hot tea and see how they swim. And I've done it before. So we are getting better. Are we there yet? Not yet. But I think the strides that we have taken as women is getting us somewhere. Thank you. I'm praying that I'll still be available for even the other two questions. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Agatha, for sharing. We appreciate you being here so much and being resilient on coming in and out. And so, Dr. Marilyn, thank you also for allowing her to go because of the internet issue. So please go ahead and share.
No worries. And so since I went last, I had an opportunity to write down some things and some thoughts. So it's not scripted, but it is my opinion of things. So I think some of the misconceptions about female competition include the belief that women are inherently, they compete with each other, and they compete with each other more than they compete with men. And it is more likely to undermine each one of them or our success because we are so busy competing that we're not supporting. And so I think it's very important to overcome these misconceptions and foster a stronger sense of sisterhood. I think it's essential to promote a culture of collaboration, mutual support, celebration of each other. We don't celebrate each other. We think if we give somebody accolades or somebody is doing good, then, oh, that's bad, or we're jealous that this person got a promotion, instead of being happy that our sister is growing and learning from our sister. So I think we need to start celebrating each other. And we can have, I think some of the things that we can do is have mentorships. You know, some of the programs, mentorship programs, networking, creating safe spaces for us to talk and, you know, have dialogue. I used to do it was like focus groups. And sometimes it will be a focus group with everybody, but sometimes it was strictly for women because there are things that women want to talk about, but they need a safe space to let those things out. And so I think to foster sisterhood, we need to create some of those safe spaces for them to be vulnerable and say the things, whether it's relationship, career, family, whatever the case may be. We need to foster a safe space for us to talk. And I also said that some strategies and initiatives that have been effective in promoting collaboration and cooperation among women include affinity groups or employee resource groups specifically for women. They need leadership development programs tailored to women, peer mentoring circles, I think workshops and seminars and things like that, like we're doing in this group. This group is amazing when it comes to pulling women and men together to collaborate, but we have such groups as we're in today. We're promoting women. We're encouraging women. And I think that speaks volumes in sisterhood and bringing people together and knowing that we're here to support you, whether you're successful or unsuccessful. It is our job to cultivate an environment where we're boosting each other up and learning from each other.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And it goes to, at the end of the day, you can't give away what you don't have, right? And so we can't give forgiveness if we don't forgive ourselves. We can't celebrate somebody if we can't even celebrate ourselves. And so that takes intentionality, that takes focus. And so we're gonna so thank you all for sharing on that. And we're going to go to our last we're going to explore our last content in reference to true desires and exploring what women truly want versus expectations. And so how do societal expectations impact our, as a women, our careers, our choices, our relationships, our personal fulfillment? So I'm going to open that up, and then we should have, I think, everybody on here now that is still on the panel here. In
We can
reference
let
to
Agata go first with this one if she's still here. Let me check.
let's see if I can.
I think she's still here.
Yep, she's here.
Yes, I am. Yeah, so I'm going to speak through this from maybe the historical background. And for me, I always want to look at my mother. So the times that she was growing up, the societal expectations were that she needed to be at home. She needed to take care of us, take care of the husband who was my father. Society actually expected her to be a home mom. And over the period, as I've grown, again, I've seen things have changed. And I want to believe that, it all borders on mindset shifting, where even women now, we are found in the workplace. So you find that now, despite, yes, there's in some circumstances, especially in Africa, a woman is still expected to be at home. But with economic changes, they see that actually some women are bred winners in families. So things have changed. And when I talk to my mother now and ask her what were her dreams when she was growing up, and she used to tell me, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to, make a contribution in my community, but societal expectations did not give me that leverage. So when you look at where we are now, things have changed. And I believe even as we spoke about the conversations like women in construction, women in the tech world, it's all evolving to giving a woman that platform, to giving a woman that voice. I had a retreat, I think I shared with Dr. Alisa, because of so many hats that we wear as women. And I asked just a simple question to say, what is your song? What is that thing that you love to do when you were young? And certain women with very high positions in the corporate world, they actually became mute. Some of them actually had tears in their eyes. And they said, Agatha, because of the so many hats, I don't know when I last even thought about myself. So it was a very, delicate and vulnerable that most times as women, we don't even go inward and ask ourselves, what is it that we really want? Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Agatha, for sharing. Anyone else? Dr. Marilyn, you got your hand up? Oh, you're on mute, my friend.
Okay. So I think societal expectation on women affects gender roles, because we are led to believe, or we have grown to believe, that women have a certain role that they should play in society, like homemakers, staying at home. And, sometimes the expectations of the society on women takes away from the woman's desire to fulfill her own purpose in life, because they are seen to, okay, you're supposed to be a certain way, but okay, why must I conform to the norm or this certain way that may not be my choice or my role or my purpose? And so I think projecting gender roles sometimes affect women because they feel like they have to conform to the norm. And so I think women should be free to do what they want. They should be free to live the life that they want. They shouldn't have to be defined by a gender role from what we've always known to do, the traditional way. Women these days are not traditional. For me, myself, one of the things that when I travel back home to Alabama, they always ask me, why aren't you married? Why don't you have kids? Why don't you? Because that's the expectation of a woman. Along with success, they also think you should be in a relationship, married with kids, and the traditional family. I don't want to do that. that wasn't my choice. So we have to teach each other that it's okay to define your own way, your own purpose, your own destination or destiny.
Awesome. Awesome.
Always live the life everybody else wants us to live, and we will continue to be unhappy if we don't step up and own our own life.
Thank you, Dr. Marilyn. Choices, right? It's choices. And what is it that you want? Charlotte, you have your hand up, and then we'll go Coach Big E.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to take it from a different perspective. Physically, we want to be accepted for what we look like, for our size, and all of those types of things. A lot of times in the workforce or in different, even in communities, say if you're just going out, if you're the main part of the main people that are connected with you, or if they're slim, if they have a slim waist or things of that nature, or if they have long hair, they're looked at differently. If you're the minority, they're judging you. Even if you have the expertise, even if you have the knowledge, we do not want to be put in that box. We want to be given a chance to speak, but sometimes you don't because you're at the end when they're looking in their viewpoint. They're looking at the end. They're not looking at what does she know? What is she like? And how I know this, because many times I feel like because initially I wasn't very assertive, people would be like, oh, okay, she doesn't have anything to say. How do you know? How do you know? So I do, in terms of being a health coach and physical, I like to encourage my people to not go from the outside first. Go in the inside. Make sure you are beautiful. You're the way that you want to be in the inside. Because sometimes you have these people that are beautiful according to society standards. However, they feel horrible on the inside. They have no confidence. They don't think they're beautiful. Their self-esteem is extremely low. And one of my goals is I would like women to feel good about yourself. Speak no matter what you look like, what your size is. I don't care if you've been in an accident, whatever it is. Feel good about who you are and your purpose. So I would just like to change that in terms of society, in terms of what we judge from a different point of view. Look from the inside. And you can't see the inside, but give a person a chance. If you see that person that is not saying anything, if they're in a corner, go to them and say hello. I like to look at those that most people wouldn't go to. Most people wouldn't look at. If they're in the corner, they're by themselves. I want to know what that person's thinking, what's on their mind.
Awesome.
So that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlotte. And looking inside, because at the end of the day, you can't give away what you don't have either, right? So sometimes we have to pull it out on them. So Coach Big E, bringing it home.
Yeah, I want to challenge everyone that's on this call and watching the replay. One of the things in that great book that Dr. Kareem mentioned in the Think and Grow Rich is masterminds. So one of the things I challenge, because everyone in this call is a leader. You wouldn't be in this call on a Saturday if you were not a passionate leader. But I need you to lead. So everybody in this call, my challenge to you is to create a mastermind. If it's 3 or 4 people, create a weekly call with the women, the men, whoever you want to choose. Create you a mastermind that you meet with like-minded individuals. And then you will have someone to talk to. You will have someone to bounce ideas off of. This is critical for the empowerment of women, to start creating these groups like Dr. Alisa has created and a lot of others have created. But some of you don't have a group. So I'm challenging you, start you a group. The second quarter, Monday, April the 1st, is the start of the second quarter. You need to have a mastermind because there's more women like you out there than you even realize. And what I'm challenging all of the ladies and the men to, create you a mastermind group where you will have someone that you can have ideas with. I just did a live. You can go out there at WTFMA.com and see it. I did a panel with all women for women empowerment. And from that panel, now we have a circle where now they're going to meet. So it takes you as a leader to create these events. And it's just a simple Zoom call, you all. And as they stated, if you don't have 3 or 4 people in your circle, your immediate 5 that are bigging you up and pushing you up, then you got to change your circle. But create that mastermind, and I digress from there.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, accountability partners are a thing, everybody. So get yourself one.
I'd like to jump in, Deb, just to give my piece. Everything that you all said, so important. But when it comes to what a woman truly wants, one of the things I love that I've seen around the internet a lot, Oprah Winfrey, one of my mentors, and don't y'all ask me any questions, she's my mentor for a lot of things, not everything, but for a lot of things. She said that she was asked the question, why don't people accomplish what they want? She said, in order for someone to accomplish what they want, they have to know what they want. And I'd say to take that a little deeper is people don't know what they want for sure. They don't know what their true desires are because they don't know who they truly are. And that is a mindset thing. And that's what we're here to unravel at MM360, Mindset Mastery 360 Global, is that every person who comes through the door, there's one small, just being around the right people and the lessons we intend to teach as professionals and people who have learned a few things in life, is that you get back to your core values, your true belief, and figure out exactly who you are. And once you figure out who you are, you get to figure out why you are here now, because your why is attached to your who. And once you know your why, now you get to figure out your when, your where, and your what. And then that's the magic of being a human and being alive. And that's what we intend to do. So what do women truly want? All the things the world tells us, the thing we're truly seeking as humans is to figure out, know that we've seen what we have to say, it matters, and that at the end of our day, that we made a difference. I have never asked anyone, it's one of the questions I ask all my students, what do you truly want to be when you grow up? Adult students, and not the kids. I worked with kids too, but I'm talking about my adult students. They're anywhere between 18 and 60 something. Some I've had a 70 something year old recently. Just wanted to hang out. And nothing anyone ever told me was attached to them being rich. Everybody wanted to do something. I want to help people is what I heard. So everyone wants to know that their life matter. I reminded my students a couple of days ago that Steve Jobs is not remembered because he was a millionaire. Elon Musk is not talked about every day because he's a millionaire. Some do talk about his money, but that's not why we remember him, why he's Elon Musk. It's because he created products and services that changed the way our life evolves. Steve Jobs had one mission. He wanted technology to be in the palm of the hands of every human so that we can communicate. Mark Zuckerberg, who we're streaming on his platform today, same thing. He wanted to bring people together. His why was noble, guys. And then he became a millionaire. And so many times we put the money, as my people would say, we put the cart before the horse, and then we can't move. So I would say what do women truly want, what does humans truly want, is to know that we matter. And we start by reconnecting with ourselves. And so that's what I yield to that part of the conversation. Deb, back over to you.
Well, I just think that it is time that we could possibly wrap this up, and appreciate you all and all of your efforts and everything, all of your contributions. And at the end of the day, I mean, there's a lot of takeaways, but the biggest thing I think that I got out of it, and perhaps you would agree, is that it is about the relationships, you all. It's about the relationships. It's about who you're connected with. It's about who you're spending your time with, and about becoming the next best version of yourself. And I think that as a female, as a woman, that's my goal every day, all day, and to empower other women and empower youth and empower men, regardless, is that, again, we are people of value who value people and add value to them. And we do that by becoming the next best version of ourselves, because we can't give away what we don't have. And so thank you for investing your time in yourself today to be here on this platform, to invest in yourself and to share your knowledge, your wisdom. And I don't think there's any right or wrong answer, but I will remind us all that other people do have a perception. So when it does come to that social media, however you want to be perceived, the reputation that you want, you own that. And the foundation will also be about the relationships that you have. And I know Janae talked about that a little bit earlier. So I think that can be a wrap. Dr. Alisa, Dr. Kareem.
Thank you so much, Deb. Thank you. So, Dr. Kareem, I'm going to go ahead and let you say your closing remarks, and then I'll close out. You're muted, brother.
I'm going to punch the people at Zoom. I promise you. I'm going to go to the Zoom offices and start swinging on folks. Every time I start to talk and I'm like, that daggone microphone is muted, I'm coming for y'all, Zoom. I'm letting you know. I was zoomed out doing 2020 because of COVID. I still ain't got over that yet. I'm coming for those people. My closing thought, and this is hard only because it was so much that we covered today in territory. I mean, the thing really could have went a whole nother hour and still gave more value because there's so much insight, especially as folks start to get deeper and deeper into the layers of the onion. The only thing that I'm going to bank off of as I get ready to shut down for myself is the conversation on societal norms. And this is my firm belief, whether you are male or female under the sound of my voice, the bigger the goal you go after, the farther it will be away from a societal norm. I'll say that again. The bigger the goal you set for yourself that you want to achieve and go after, the farther it's going to be away from a societal norm. And so in knowing that, you got to be okay with it and understand you can't take everybody with you on the journey. There's some people that can help you pack a bag, but baby, they're not designed to get on that flight and go to your next destination with you. And you can't miss your flight based on trying to play within the confines of what everyone else around you says, thinks, or wants you to do. Because a lot of times what you do, as grandiose as it is, takes people out of their comfort zones without their permission. So most people will fight to defend it. So on that note, I'm going to lay it down there. I'll pop the ball back over to the next person.
Thank you so much. Before I just want us to celebrate Coach E. Let's wish him happy birthday. Shall we sing?
I was gonna say we should.
Sure. Can we sing the quick
wait a
version,
minute.
not the long?
Is that
No,
Crystal?
I
Listen,
have
the
a
Queen
request.
Crystal, come on. I gotta meet you, sister. Come on, girl.
I have a request.
Yes, sir.
If you're gonna sing for me, I need the Stevie Wonder edition. I don't want to hear no dry birthday. I need happy birthday to you. That's what I want to hear.
So this man is gonna.
That's what I'm saying. Not the
Aries.
slow version that we're tired and drawn out.
He is the true Aries. All righty. 1, 2, 3. Happy
birthday,
to
dear
ya.
Ernest, my friend.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
There you go.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Crystal. We got to see his beautiful wife in the bottom, well, of my screen. K Moss, that's his queen. Crystal, we need you over here. Come on in, power couple. God bless you so much, our brother. We thank you for being a part of us, and may your life continue to be filled with abundance, and you continue to help the youth and the family shift. And we are so honored to have you as part of our community and one of our leaders. And we know that your life will continue to bring light everywhere you go. On behalf of all of us, we appreciate you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Just as much, we appreciate each and every one of you. We are the last standing here of all the numbers, but we have done our job, and this is what leadership is. This has been immensely valuable. We're going to chop it up and make content for our social media on what was said and done here. It's been powerful. Officially, Mindset Mastery 360 has taken off. We're now in flight because this is our first time. It's our coming out party. We chose to bring it out for Women's History Month. And so thank you all for helping us and for supporting us. We've had some donations come in. We thank you for all of you who put whatever you could into the pot to help us put this movement. We've got some exciting things happening. Go to www.mindsetmastery360.org, click join us. That's it. And you'll go through the process of becoming a mindset ambassador and being a part of this. This community is just dynamic. You don't get to sit from where I'm at watching everybody do what they did to make this a reality, because we all run businesses and jobs and we coach people and we speak on stages all over, but we have taken the time out. And our group in Africa who struggled to be on, so their voice couldn't be heard as much, we will be back swinging, and you will hear from the rest of the world. Listen, thank you all for supporting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing. And remember that everything begins with how you think, what you speak, what you do is what you become, because it all begins with how you think about yourself and the world. Perception and all of it matters. Until then, we are Mindset Mastery 360 saying, keep empowering yourself, keep transforming lives, and keep changing your world. Be the change you want to be in the world. We are over and out. Team, don't go. We will disconnect from our live and we will just wrap for the end of the day. Thanks.
And Coach E, all those people singing off key, that wasn't me. I put my stuff on mute. So everyone that was off key, that was all of them. I was on mute the whole time.
Hey, it's the thought that counts,
Kareem,
man.
I'm gonna release that video of you singing. Don't you start that. I got video footage of you singing on a Zoom call.
I love it.
Thank you all.
How do I end streaming? Someone, Trevor, help me. I don't know.